Chapter 9:14. The art of demon god possession was the supreme technique of the demon soldier clan. It was a wonderful demonic technique that had been tested countless times. Every time it was possessed, there was no accident. However, the real grade was not high. It was easy for the Four Directions Heavenly Gate spirit, who was comparable to an unparalleled master, to cultivate it successfully in a short time. In addition, Tion used the Bell of Heaven's reincarnation to guide them, and 4 battle bodies made of divine crystals. There were no mishaps when it came to seizing the body, and it easily succeeded. The Four Directions Heavenly Gate spirit had completely merged with the battle bodies. Just like the blood-killing guards back then, they had obtained a real body. However, their power was too strong. Even if the battle bodies were made of high-grade divine crystals, they could not completely accommodate or even adapt to this power. This kind of fusion required a certain amount of time. For example, they could only display the combat power of an ancient demon. However, once the fusion was complete, the battle bodies would become their own bodies. Then, their power would instantly break through to the realm of an unparalleled master. Although they had left the Four Directions Heavenly Gate, there was still a mysterious connection between them. It was like the relationship between a mother and her child. It was the Heavenly Gate that gave birth to them. Even if they had left, they still had a strong attachment to the Heavenly Gate. There was an instinctive accusation of guarding the Heavenly Gate. The moment the Heavenly Gate merged with the Demon City, the Four Directions Heavenly Gate could no longer be separated. After merging with the entire ancient city, the Four Directions Heavenly Gate spirit could no longer completely control the Heavenly Gate. They could only borrow a part of the Heavenly Gate's power. The real controller had been replaced by Tion. Back then, when his primordial spirit imprint merged with the ancient city, the Demon City was like his natal magic treasure. Anything that merged with it would be under his control. The Four Directions Heavenly Gate spirit was officially renamed the Four Directions Heavenly King. What was even more amazing was that the forbidden spaces that originally belonged to the Heavenly Gate Forbidden Land had completely merged with the 129,600 spaces in the Demon City. It saved thousands of years of time. In a short time, I'm afraid no one will guess that the Four Directions Heavenly Gate in the Demon City is real. Sakura stood outside the forbidden grounds of the Heavenly Gate and swept his gaze forward. In front of him, there were still clouds of fog shrouding him. In the fog, there were still countless mysterious and ancient heavenly gates standing tall. The entire Heaven's Gate Forbidden Land did not collapse completely because of the departure of the 4 Heaven's Gates. It was as if nothing had happened. No one would have thought that in the future, all the cultivators who entered the forbidden area of the Heaven Gate would appear in the space world of the Demon City. He could also use this to confuse the eyes of the outside world. At the critical moment, he might be able to trick his enemy. It could be said that he was killing several birds with one stone. This move is truly beautiful. Ming cried out in a strange voice filled with anticipation. This was simply using the entire Heaven's Gate forbidden area as a trap to trick people. If other people knew about this, they would probably cry out, "What a scam!" on the spot. It's a pity that I didn't find the carefree king and perfected Lord Ku Rong, said Tion with some regret. The carefree king was cautious after all. He only sent a Dharma idol avatar into the forbidden area of the Heaven Gate. His real body did not come at all. As for perfected Lord Ku Rong, although his body was killed and directly swallowed by the tiger's soul, his primordial spirit mysteriously disappeared. It was as if it had never existed in his body. As for the God of Plague's avatar, it had long disappeared. Let's go. It's time to go to the Tongtian Tower. Tion looked at the void thoughtfully. A light flashed above his head, and the Bell of Heaven's reincarnation appeared instantly. After the ancient bell appeared, a vortex appeared in the bell and directly sucked it into the bell. Then, the ancient bell trembled slightly and shrank violently. It turned into a speck of dust and imperceptibly entered the void. At a speed that was difficult to be captured by the naked eye, it quickly escaped in the void and rushed toward the Tongtian Tower. He was afraid that there would be changes at the Tantian Tower if he delayed for too long. There was an origin space in the ancient bell. That space was no less than 100,000 feet in size. There were hills and rivers. Flowers and trees were faintly being born. However, there was no life at all. Di Shirtion sat cross-legged on a 1,000-foot mountain peak. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the void. A purple-gold divine light flashed and was caught in his hand. Upon closer inspection, it was a purple-gold half-face mask that exuded a noble aura. It was his ultimate Emperor mask. Ever since he obtained this mask, when he destroyed the avatar of venerable apotheosis in the Tantian Tower, it had helped him immeasurably in countless dangers along the way. The power that could forcibly raise one's cultivation by a realm could be said to be incomparably heaven-defying. However, it was a pity that after he became an ancient demon sage, this mask gradually could no longer increase his cultivation level. The Gui Su Great Emperor's Gui Su mask? Today I want to see the true face of this mask. Today is the day to break the seal. Di Shirtion looked at the mask in his hand with an unusually deep gaze. Lunatic D, if I'm not mistaken, this is a supreme treasure that belonged to Great Emperor Gui Su in the Demon God Continent. However, I've only heard of Great Emperor Gui Su in ancient times and don't know much about him. However, I've heard that his status in the Demon God Continent was extremely high. He was a great emperor who ruled over a region and cultivated the emperor's path. Although the seal in the mask has been weakened by various means over the years, the most basic seal is still sealed by the emperor's path. It can only be broken by the emperor's will. Dark licked his lips, and his dragon eyes widened instantly. This ultimate emperor mask was already confirmed to be the legendary Gui Su mask back in the demon god realm. It was a supreme treasure that belonged to Great Emperor Gui Su. Unfortunately, there was a mysterious seal that blocked most of the power of the mask. When Di Shirtion found that the mask could no longer increase the power of the seal, he immediately sent it into the infernal prison. He used the Huang Quan holy water, the 5 elements plate, endless karmic fire, the power of yin and yang, and even the power of reincarnation to constantly cleanse the seal in the mask. He almost destroyed most of the seal in the mask. However, the most crucial and core restriction in the mask required the cooperation of the Emperor's will in order to break it. Great! Sakura carefully sized up the purple gold mask in his hand, feeling the natural nobility emitted from the mask. On the surface, there wasn't the slightest trace of an axe aura. It was completely natural, noble, and mysterious, with an incomparable majesty, awe-inspiring without being angry. Whoosh! The mask flew into the air and floated quietly in front of him. On the mask, mysterious purple-gold patterns swam as if they were alive. I like to see how powerful the seal in this mask is. Di Shirtion's heart stirred. Suddenly, 2 rays of dazzling divine light shot out from his eyes and landed directly on the mask. In his body, a supreme will followed his gaze and entered the mask. Rumble. As soon as his will entered the mask, the image in his mind changed, and he found himself in a strange space. This space wasn't very big, only about 10,000 feet wide. Within this space, there was only a void, and within that void stood an ancient emperor. This is... Sakura used his will to enter this mysterious space. His will changed and transformed into his original appearance. It was just that this figure was abnormally illusory, as though it wasn't real and could disappear at any time. However, at this moment, a look of surprise appeared on his face. His eyes were fixed on the towering figure in the void. That figure was wearing a black emperor's robe, a purple gold crown on his head, and a purple gold mask that could only cover half of his face. It was impossible to see his features clearly, but his eyes were filled with shocking pressure, and the aura of an emperor enveloped him. This was a supreme emperor. Just by standing there, he had the terrifying feeling that the world was revolving around him. Don't tell me this is the will of Emperor Return Void. I can't believe it's so condensed. It's so much more powerful than my illusory body. Di Shirtion took a deep breath. His eyes gleamed as he said, "So what if you've condensed it? Just watch how I destroy you today." After he finished speaking, his body shook. Immediately, the body condensed from his willpower collapsed and turned into a purple-gold Emperor's seal. Then, it smashed into the illusory body of the Emperor's will. Bam! The illusory body of the Emperor sensed danger, and his eyes snapped open, filled with coldness and dignity. He looked up at the ancient seal above his head, as if he had just been provoked. Without the slightest hesitation, he punched out at the seal. The ancient seal was sent flying, and with a bang, it crumbled inch by inch. It shattered into pieces. De Chertion sat cross-legged on the mountain peak, trembling violently, and his face drained of blood. What a monstrous willpower! It actually condensed into a physical body, occupying the mask and becoming the last restriction. De Chertion couldn't help but mutter to himself. The willpower that had just entered the mask was completely destroyed. The damage to the willpower was extremely severe. That should be the remnant willpower of Emperor Return Void. Dark said worriedly. De Chertion didn't say anything else, and he sent another strand of willpower into the mask. When he appeared in that space again, he took a closer look at the illusory body of the Emperor. He saw that the divine light emitted by the illusory body of the illusory body had dimmed a little. If one didn't take a closer look, they wouldn't have noticed it. This illusory body of the Emperor's will has weakened a little. De Chertion immediately grasped this point, and a plan came to his mind. I know, this illusory body of the Emperor's will can't recover on its own. Once it's exhausted, it will weaken a little. As for my willpower, even if it's slightly exhausted, I can still condense it again. Good, good, good. Watch me destroy your willpower bit by bit. A flash of inspiration appeared in his mind, and he immediately thought of a way to deal with this illusory body of the Emperor's will. The time and the bell of heaven's reincarnation suddenly reversed. The time difference with the outside world reversed to 100. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 9:15. Reverse time by 100 times. Sakura sat in the middle of the ancient bell and poured his will into the mask again and again. He fought fiercely with the Emperor's will. Every time he fought, he was defeated without any suspense. But at the same time, the power contained in the Emperor's will was also consumed. It was equivalent to an existence that couldn't be replenished. Again and again, he was unwilling to give up. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed in the heaven's reincarnation bell. In the mask, it was still in the mysterious space. At this moment, the figure formed by the Emperor's willpower became illusory. The light dimmed, and an ancient seal smashed into him from midair. Bang! The entire Emperor's body was smashed into pieces. The disintegrated body turned into tiny hexagonal crystals. Each of them was abnormally dim, but they were crystal clear and abnormally round. The crystals emitted the noble aura of an emperor. It was as if there was an ancient emperor in each of them. There were a total of 129,600 crystals scattered throughout the entire space. This is good stuff. Willpower crystal, and it's even crystallized from the Emperor's willpower. Quick, collect all of these. These willpower crystals have already been scattered by you. If you refine them, it will be immeasurably beneficial to the growth of your willpower. You might even be able to condense them into a physical entity. Dark was almost drooling. Keep. De Chertion could feel the preciousness of these crystals. His willpower had an urge to devour all of them when it touched them. He quickly took out a psychic jade box. With a wave of his hand, all the willpower crystals were sucked into the jade box. These willpower crystals were extremely rare. Phew! Heavily spitting out a mouthful of turbid air, Sakura, who was sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak, opened his eyes. On his forehead, there was a dense layer of sweat. His complexion had become somewhat pale, but in his eyes, there was a trace of relief and expectation. He looked at the purple gold mask in front of him. At that moment, the purple-gold mask suddenly became extremely different. A purple-gold glass-like charm appeared on the surface of the mask, and the countless lines on the mask completely came to life. They were like countless small tadpoles that only had intelligence. They quickly swam and intertwined together to form many pictures. They showed strange expressions. There was joy, anger, sorrow, shock, crying, and laughter. His expression was changing almost every moment. It looked extremely strange. The real face was hidden under the mask, but the mask could show an illusory expression. Every time he changed his expression, it was as though it could affect one's state of mind. When a smiling face appeared on the mask, the entire heaven and earth seemed to brighten up all of a sudden. The air was filled with joy, and once he revealed a crying face, the entire heaven and earth would weep with him. This kind of power was almost exactly the same as the power of desire of the Sakura. Emperor Guei Su's mask is indeed extraordinarily strange. When Ming saw this, he couldn't help but be secretly shocked. This mask seemed to be able to constantly change his expression according to his will. Just based on this point, it could be said to be a unique treasure in the world. Moreover, he could feel the aura of the Khanate realm in the mask. This was not a treasure that was refined after birth, but a Khanate spiritual treasure that was born in the chaos. It was a top Khanate spiritual treasure. The purple gold mask turned into a stream of light and appeared in front of Dishurtion. He directly put it on, covering half of his face. A smile appeared on the mask, showing his mood. However, immediately after, the expression on the mask changed into a contemplative face. What an amazing ability. No wonder that Demon Emperor wanted to get his hands on this mask at all costs when he knew it was the Guei Su mask. It turns out that it has such a wonderful power. It can turn reality into illusion and illusion into reality. It really didn't disappoint me. With this mask, even the most powerful experts can't kill me. Dishurtion's eyes, which were hidden behind the mask, shot out a threatening light. Although he had a hunch that this mask was extraordinary, he didn't expect that after breaking the seal, the mask's ability would be so powerful. He was confident that with it, he would not die in the hands of the most powerful experts. Hiss! My goodness, it's this ability. It's really extraordinarily powerful. Lunatic Emperor, don't use this trump card unless you have no other choice. Otherwise, if others know about it, they may covet it. This mask is too powerful. It's so powerful that even the most powerful experts would go crazy for it. When Ming heard this, he was overjoyed, but also unprecedentedly serious. He quickly warned, there's only the ultimate Emperor mask in the world. There's no Guei Su mask. With it, we'll have more confidence in this trip to the Tower of Babel, Dishurtion said calmly. With a thought, the purple gold mask strangely merged with his face and disappeared. After dealing with the mask, Dishurtion didn't stop immediately. Instead, he took out a snow-white stairway to heaven. The stairway to heaven had a total of 49 levels. Each level of the stairway to heaven seemed to be formed by nature and contained mysterious Taoist rhymes. The stairway to heaven. I will make you the stairway to heaven for the demon clan. However, your current ability is not enough. Let me refine you again. Sakura looked at the heavenly stairway in front of him seriously. This heavenly stairway was the heavenly stairway that he had walked through in the four-sided divine palace. After obtaining the four-sided heavenly gate, this heavenly stairway was also conveniently kept in his pocket. Whoosh! With a flash of light in his hand, a psychic jade box appeared in front of him. After the jade box appeared, it didn't stop. It fell directly onto the stairway to heaven. As soon as it touched the stairway to heaven, the jade box quickly seeped into the stairway like water. Rumble! In an instant, the stairway to heaven emitted a bright divine light. Countless heavenly sounds appeared in the surroundings and vibrated violently. Suddenly, at the top of the stairway to heaven, it grew strangely. A stairway to heaven appeared out of thin air. This growth didn't stop. Instead, it appeared one after another. In the blink of an eye, the stairway to heaven that was originally 49 steps suddenly grew to 56 steps. Not enough. When Tian saw this, he frowned slightly and took out the psychic jade box again. This psychic jade box was made of psychic jade. It was a divine item among jades. This time he took out 3 jades. Without hesitation, he sent them into the stairway to heaven. After obtaining the psychic jade, the stairway to heaven that had stopped growing started to grow again. Rumble. The stairway to heaven was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was increasing step by step. When a stairway to heaven stopped growing, the stairway to heaven had already reached 81 steps. On the stairway to heaven, there was a strange divine light. On the stairway to heaven, there were countless mysterious runes that intertwined with each other, revealing an ancient aura. Bell of Heaven's reincarnation. Tian called out calmly. Whoosh! In the void, a bright divine light of reincarnation suddenly fell from the void and enveloped the entire stairway to heaven. In the divine light, countless mysterious reincarnation runes quickly entered the stairway to heaven like raindrops and were imprinted on the stairway to heaven. It was a perfect fit. The divine light on the stairway to heaven suddenly converged, but there was a trace of mysterious color. 5 elements and yin-yang. In midair, a 5 elements plate appeared again, together with a black and white yin-yang mirror. 2 beams of divine light shot out and landed on the stairway to heaven. A large number of 5 elements runes and yin-yang runes merged into it. Yin and yang intertwined with everything, and it gave birth to a trace of creation. It ran through the entire stairway to heaven. Countless mysterious seals were formed in his hands and quickly entered into the stairway to heaven. This refinement took half a year in the Bell of Heaven's reincarnation. Withdraw. Finally, when the last seal was completed, the stairway to heaven suddenly became completely devoid of any light. All the divine brilliance was completely restrained. Even the stairway to heaven was suffused with a kind of crystal transparency. It was ancient and mysterious. As he extended his hand, the huge stairway to heaven instantly shrunk and landed in his palm. With this stairway to heaven and the support of the demon city, the rise of the demon clan is almost unstoppable. The speed of this rise will be 10 times or even 100 times faster than before. Dark sighed to himself. He seemed to know how shocking the stairway to heaven's appearance would be to the demon clan. Stairway to heaven. 1 step to heaven. Tian took a deep look at the stairway to heaven in his hand and carefully placed it into the psychic jade box. Almost 1.5 years had passed in the Bell of Heaven's reincarnation, but only 4 or 5 days had passed in the outside world. The Bell of Heaven's reincarnation was rushing towards the Tower of Heaven's reincarnation. However, the purple gold mainland was too vast. It was so vast that even the most powerful cultivators could not understand how big the entire mainland was. Even if they chose a direction and flew for 100 years, they would not be able to see the end of the mainland. Dang! At this moment, the ancient bell that was moving quickly seemed to have collided with something. It let out a crisp sound and stopped. What is that? Sakura quickly came out from the ancient bell and hung the ancient bell above his head. He raised his eyes and scanned the surroundings. His expression couldn't help but slightly change. Devil Suppression Valley. What appeared before them was an enormous obelisk. That obelisk soared into the sky. On the obelisk, there were countless blood-red marks that were densely intertwined. There were also 3 bloody ancient words. Demon Suppression Valley. There was a cold, murderous intent in those words. It was extremely ferocious, as if it could directly pull people into a terrifying and bloody battlefield. That murderous aura alone was enough to kill an ordinary cultivator. Behind the obelisk was a huge valley. At the edge of the valley, there was a blood-red river that surrounded it. Countless hideous white bones floated on the river. Countless corpses floated on the river. The valley was like an island surrounded by blood water. Inside, the blood-red fog shrouded the surroundings. It blocked everyone's vision. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www Chidian. Calm. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 916. Demon Suppression Valley. This is the Demon Suppression Valley. I didn't expect to meet here. Shurtian took a deep breath and looked at the strange valley in front of him. In his mind, the scene when he had just embarked on the path of cultivation and left the Qin family to return to the southern wilderness suddenly appeared. Itinerant cultivator family. Wine God's treasure mirror. Wine God gourd. Wine God's last words. Wine God's curse. One by one, flashed through his mind quickly. The cause that was planted back then, the fruit that is born today, the cycle of cause and effect. The will of heaven is unpredictable. I didn't expect that I didn't get the location of the Demon Suppression Valley after deliberately inquiring about it, but accidentally bumped into it. Wine God, I got your Wine God treasure mirror and Wine God's gourd. This favor has to be returned to you in the end. Shurtian murmured and sighed. His mind returned from the reverie. To be honest, the treasures left by the Wine God were immeasurably helpful to himself and even the Demon Clan. Without the support of a large amount of spirit wine, the Demon Clan would have to spend more twists and turns in order to rise. However, speaking of which, the relationship between the Wine God and himself was also a kind of transaction. It was just that this kind of transaction was also agreed upon by him. Once he received the treasures, he had to do one thing for him, and that was to go to the Demon Suppression Valley. Otherwise, the Wine God's curse that entered his body back then would completely erupt. Once it erupted, even a peerless expert would be helpless. The Wine God's curse in his body was extremely magical. Even when he was condensing the immortal body, Shurtian searched for it, but he couldn't find it. It was as if it didn't exist, but in the dark, he could vaguely sense it. This curse really did exist. A thought quickly flashed through his mind, and he faintly felt that this encounter with the Demon Suppression Valley must have something to do with the Wine God's curse. Perhaps the Wine God's curse sensed that his strength was enough to fulfill the promise to the Wine God, so he suddenly encountered this mysterious Demon Suppression Valley. It's a pity that the Wine Immortal didn't tell me what he wanted me to do. He only told me to find the Demon Suppression Valley and enter it. I will naturally know. Sakura took a deep breath and looked at the strange blood-colored valley in front of him. He was secretly suspicious. Demon Suppression Valley? Ming frowned slightly and said, "This valley should have appeared at the end of the primordial era. Back then, I was imprisoned and fell into a deep sleep, so I didn't know about it. However, I still found some clues from the memories of the All Heavens cultivators I interrogated in Nether Prison. It could only obtain information from the minds of other All Heavens cultivators about what happened after the ancient times, but could not determine the specifics. However, he still told them everything he knew. According to the legends, the end of the Antiquity Age was an extremely chaotic era. The demon race, the ancient 100 races, and the demon god race fought each other, while the demon race and the human race fought each other. Even the undying and indestructible sovereigns were fighting to the death in the primal chaos. The devil master of the origin continent, the sovereign of fate, and the sovereign of space. His battle with the 9 demon ancestors of the fiend celestial continent caused the entire primal chaos to erupt. The sovereign of fate's side was clearly at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. However, since they were both undying and indestructible existences, it was almost impossible to destroy them. However, the primordial chaos was filled with countless unknowns. It was impossible to say just how vast it was or if there were other worlds that existed. In some cases, even hegemons could perish in them. They would be obliterated by the primordial chaos. Speaking of the fierce battle back then, although the Devil Master and the others fought to the death and entangled the 9 great demon ancestors in the primordial chaos, it was an indisputable fact that they were at a disadvantage. However, during the fierce battle, a huge crystal coffin came crashing down from somewhere and smashed into the heart-devouring demon ancestor's body. That heavenly coffin was extremely terrifying. It smashed the heart devouring demon Ancestor's indestructible body into pieces, and its heart fell onto the purple gold continent. After that, the heavenly coffin split into 9 pieces and also fell into the origin world. After the heart-devouring demon Ancestor's demon heart was smashed out and lost, although its life was not in danger, its strength immediately fell. It was now only between the peak of an unparalleled expert and the undying and indestructible expert. It could only be called a half-step demon Ancestor. Therefore, the heart-devouring demon Ancestor was constantly thinking about finding its lost demon heart. It was said that the place where the demon heart fell was an ancient battlefield where the demon god and countless experts of the purple gold continent fought. Once it fell, all living beings fell into the demonic Tao at the same time. They were controlled by the heart demons and crazily slaughtered to death. The battlefield turned into a terrifying death zone. In the end, it strangely formed a demon suppression valley. In the valley, the demon heart that was lost by the heart-devouring demon Ancestor was suppressed. After that, the demon suppression valley became a strange forbidden area. It was said that those who entered the demon suppression valley would completely go crazy and fall into the demonic Tao, controlled by the heart demons. They would completely die. Moreover, this demon suppression valley seemed to be constantly moving, changing its position every time, making it difficult to track its tracks. The demon heart of the heart-devouring demon Ancestor. Shirtyan's eyes shot out a ray of light that was dozens of feet long. He could not help but feel a sense of horror in his heart. There was no doubt that the 9 great demon Ancestors were experts comparable to sovereign realm experts in the demon god continent. Every demon Ancestor was a terrifying existence that could split the heavens and earth apart. Even a section of a finger had great power, let alone a heart. Most of the demonic arts of the heart-devouring demon Ancestor were based on the demon heart. The demon heart contained a supreme demonic heart technique. One could imagine how terrifying it was. Go in. Sakura wasn't a person who didn't keep his words. As the saying goes, those who act righteously and stand upright. A man can't stand without his words. Since he had promised Jiuxian back then, he did not intend to go back on his word. I would like to see how terrifying this demon suppression valley is. Standing in midair, looking at the long blood river that surrounded the entire valley, he stepped forward majestically. Walking in midair, it was as if there was an invisible staircase under his feet. It seemed slow, but in fact it was as fast as lightning as he walked into the demon suppression valley. Tisk. Just as he appeared in the sky above the blood river, he saw that in the blood river, a blood wave of thousands of feet suddenly rushed towards the Sakura. In the blood wave, a ferocious blood arm suddenly stretched out, and the sharp claws that were shining with blood-red cold light clawed towards the Sakura's face, leaving a sharp blood-red claw mark. Humph! Shirtyan glanced at it, his face cold. He did not stop at all, and directly stepped on the blood wave. The scene of mountains and rivers appeared under his feet, as if they were real, and directly rolled down. The overwhelming force of the mountains and rivers shattered the blood wave on the spot. Meanwhile, a blood-red demon god with 8 arms over a few hundred zhang tall stood in the middle of the blood wave. This demon god was stepped on, and from the blood claw, its arms were annihilated inch by inch, but made a steel-like sound. It smashed into the blood river. The blood corpse, transformed from the 8-armed demon god's corpse, has the battle strength of an ancient demon saint. Shirtyan showed a touch of seriousness between his eyebrows. If this blood river was full of such blood corpses, it was almost impossible for ordinary cultivators to cross this blood river. The blood water in the blood river has an extremely strong yin qi. If a corpse falls in, it will most likely turn into a corpse. This appeared in ancient times, and there must be more terrifying blood corpses in the river. Fortunately, they don't seem to have high intelligence. Dark said thoughtfully, "Rumble." As the blood corpse was trampled to death, the blood river seemed to be completely boiling. One after another, terrifying blood corpses emerged from the bottom of the river, and their eyes were red. There was no trace of humanity. There was only cold killing. Rumble, rumble. As countless blood corpses floated out of the river of blood, 9 huge whirlpools suddenly appeared in the river. Within the whirlpools, 9 streams of dense, almost corporeal, blood-colored corpse chi suddenly soared into the sky, like smoke signals rushing into the clouds. Oh my God, there are so many blood corpses. There are 9 blood corpses in the 9 whirlpools that are comparable to ancient demon saints. Dark hurriedly reminded, Humph, do you think you can stop me with just these? D. Shirtion raised his eyebrows, and there was a domineering majesty between his eyebrows. With a thought, he was about to attack. However, the moment before he attacked, a look of suspicion appeared on his face. His original intention to attack suddenly stopped. Swoosh! In the inner world, a jade box suddenly rushed out. The jade box seemed to have suffered some kind of terrible attack and exploded at a speed visible to the naked eye, turning into dust. After the jade box was destroyed, a pitch-black token appeared in the air without any warning. After the token appeared, it floated above the blood river. On its surface, there was an ancient divine radiance. Buzz! The token shook violently and shot out billions of black rays into the void. They intertwined and formed a strange picture scroll. Above the token, a huge pitch-black coffin appeared. There were many pitch-black chains on the black coffin. It emitted an unimaginable pressure. It was as if the black coffin was the only existence in the world at this moment. God, Emperor, the pressure emitted from the black coffin came head-on, and even Sakura had an illusion of suffocation. And in the blood river, the originally countless blood corpses, each and every one of their originally ferocious eyes were filled with fear. They all knelt on the blood river and kowtowed desperately to the token. Even their bodies were trembling violently. Terrified shouts could be heard from the river of blood. All of a sudden, the blood river that was filled with blood corpses fell eerily silent. All the blood corpses returned to the blood river and did not dare to come out again. Ding! The blood corpses dissipated, and the token turned into a ray of light and returned to D. Shirtion's hand. What a terrifying pressure! The power in this token is not inferior to the ruler's token at all. Ming looked at the token in shock and said happily, Crazy D, the person you befriended back then might be an unbelievably noble existence. It's only 100,000 source of life. You've earned it. Indra seemed to be deep in thought. However, it was only for a moment before he carefully put away the token again. They crossed the blood river and entered the demon suppression valley. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 9:17. It's the new week. I'm begging for some tickets for my brothers. Throw them if you have tickets. The demon suppression valley was shrouded in blood mist. It was impossible to see the situation inside from the outside. With the protection of the blood river and countless blood corpses blocking the way, it was no wonder that it was a terrifying, forbidden area. However, when crossing the blood river and stepping into the valley, the blood mist was about to drill into the body through the pores of the body as if it had a life of its own. Oh no, this blood mist is strange. D. Shirtion's mind moved, and the situation in his body immediately appeared in his mind. After the blood mist entered his body and entered his flesh, it immediately changed. Every trace of blood mist turned into a ferocious demon god, crazily devouring the surrounding flesh and blood. As the flesh and blood were devoured, the wool contained in the flesh and blood was immediately corroded. Humph! Even in my body, you want to overturn the heavens? D. Shirtion's heart turned cold. Immediately, small, indestructible divine rings appeared in every inch of his flesh and blood. They kept spinning and crushing, covering all the demon gods formed by the blood mist. As the divine rings spun, it was as if there were countless large millstones crushing them. A vast force surged, and the demon gods were crushed inch by inch. In the blink of an eye, they were turned into dust. Emperor Indestructible Body, his entire body turned into one, isolated from the surrounding world, and became the impenetrable true body. An invisible force naturally appeared on his body, repelling the blood mist in all directions. How strange! If this blood mist were to come, even an ancient powerhouse would suffer a great loss. Dark was secretly surprised. The god of wine spell in my body is changing. Just as he was about to head into the valley, he suddenly stopped. He saw a drop of clear wine strangely fly out from his chest. The wine quickly condensed into various strange runes in front of him and condensed into a mirror. An image appeared in the mirror. An old man riding a green ox appeared in the mirror, with a wine gourd hanging from his waist. He was full of wine and had an unrestrained appearance. God of wine. Di Shirtian's pupils contracted violently, and he immediately recognized the old man in the mirror. Although this immortal doesn't know who is looking at me right now, to be able to trigger this immortal's message in the wine god incantation means that you must have obtained this immortal's wine god's treasure mirror and wine god's gourd. Your strength must have reached the level of an ancient overlord, and you must have already entered Devil Suppression Valley. The relationship between you and me is not that of master and disciple. It is merely a transactional relationship. Since you've entered the valley, it means that you're a man of your word. This immortal will not waste words. This immortal is the guardian of the Devil's Suppression Valley. He was responsible for guarding the demon heart of the valley. However, that demon heart is extremely terrifying, and the demon heart technique is unparalleled in the world. This immortal was originally the patriarch of the Wine God clan. My clan was born from the first wine spring in the world, and we were born with an inseparable fate with wine. Back then, because my clan cultivated the drunken dream heavenly mirror, we had an extremely strong resistance against inner demons. We were elected as guardians to guard the inner demons. However, the demonic heart is all-pervasive, and even my wine god clan finds it difficult to resist. One by one, the clansmen were corroded by the heart demons. He died of insanity. Even this immortal suffered a backlash from the inner demons. In the end, I had no choice but to use the power of the entire clan to cast the wine god curse to seal the demonic heart and leave the Devil Suppression Valley. Leave behind the inheritance, and you'll receive the inheritance. This immortal will not force you to guard the valley and guard the demonic heart. As long as you head to the valley and check on the demonic heart's recent situation, I hope you can repair the incomplete seal if it is still trapped. If the demonic heart is free, immediately send a message to the myriad worlds in the heavens and join forces to suppress the demonic heart. The wine god spoke leisurely in the mirror, and his eyes revealed a look of reminiscence. He sighed and said, "If possible, please find the wine spring and retrieve the wine god vine hidden in it, and help my wine god clan regain a new life." Crack! After that sigh, countless terrifying cracks appeared on the ancient mirror. Those cracks spread rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, the ancient mirror shattered into countless tiny fragments that dissipated in the air. The wine god curse that had always existed in his body was not a restriction, but a remnant of his last words. The wine god clan? No wonder he has the wine god heavenly mirror and a connate spirit treasure like the wine god gourd. The wine god clan is a supreme treasure. I didn't expect the wine god clan to completely disappear in the primordial age. The invasion of the demonic gods back then was indeed terrifying. As he spoke, his expression became a little gloomy. In the primordial age, there were more than 100 clans in the world. Countless weak clans were annihilated in the great calamity back then, and their entire clan was wiped out. The wine god clan was just one of them. He could not help but think of his previous master, the Emperor of the Dead, who also suffered a great calamity. The wine god clan, the protectors of the valley. Like the Qin clan, Di Shirtian immediately thought of many things. He remembered that the Qin clan, or rather the entire Heavenly No clan, was also a protector. For thousands of years, they have been guarding the purple gold continent for the myriad worlds and countless living beings in the purple gold continent, silently guarding the purple gold continent. Such a protector clan sentiments were enough to move the heavens and earth. Unknowingly, they had helped countless living beings. They were the truly boundless benefactors. What a pity the entire heavens and earth, and even the primordial age 100 clans, owed such a clan a huge favor. Their actions were worthy of the respect of any expert. If possible, I will definitely give the Wine God clan a new lease on life. Deshurtion secretly made a decision in his heart. He no longer had any reservations about coming to the Demon Suppression Valley. Compared to the sacrifice of the Wine God clan, his investigation was an incomparably lowly thing. He quickly walked into the valley in the blood fog. Beneath his feet were skeletons of various sizes. There were demons, demonic gods, and other clans, and so on. They covered the ground until there was no trace of soil. There are skeletons. His eyes narrowed slightly, and his body was naturally flawless. He completely concealed his aura and then used the invisibility technique. His entire body was hidden in the void, and he scanned his surroundings. In the valley, there were many hideous skeletons walking continuously. These skeletons were actually pitch black, and their bodies were emitting a strange, demonic fire. Some of the skeletons were abnormally terrifying. They were thousands of feet tall, and even thousands of feet tall. They had bone wings on their backs, and there were also other bone dragons and bone birds. They wandered freely in the valley. Good heavens, this Demon Suppression Valley is indeed not a good place. There are so many demonized skeletons, and there are even sovereigns who can kill ancient giants. Ming secretly exclaimed as he looked at the Demon Suppression Valley. It was indeed a forbidden place that no one could enter. In Deshurtion's eyes, these skeletons were the best materials. If they were fused into the Bell of Heaven's reincarnation, it would immediately increase the ancient Bell's combat power. However, now was not the time to act rashly and alert the enemy. With the invisibility technique and the concealment of his aura, even the sharpest expert would not be able to detect his aura. He did not stay for long and directly walked into the valley. Along the way, he avoided countless skeletons and walked toward the center of the valley. When he was about to approach, he looked up and saw that there was a golden 9-story pagoda in the center of the valley. On the pagoda, there were countless Dharma images of Buddhas and deities, and countless mysterious scriptures and prayers were constantly being chanted. Countless sounds of nature reverberated in the air. Every inch of the pagoda was densely packed with countless scriptures and runes. It emitted a sacred divine glow, and countless rays of divine light hung down and shrouded the surroundings. On every level of the pagoda, there was a huge sarira. At the very top of the pagoda, there was a mystical Holy Spirit bead. The Demon Suppression Pagoda is still here. Deshurtion heaved a sigh of relief. This Demon Suppression Pagoda was the treasure that suppressed the demon heart. Although the light was a little dim, it was not destroyed. This meant that the demon heart should still be suppressed in the pagoda. It did not really escape. No, the aura of a demon god. However, this relief disappeared in an instant, and his expression turned serious. In the air, there were strands of strange demonic aura floating. Deshurtion was not unfamiliar with this demonic aura. It contained the unique evil aura of the demon gods of the demon god continent. This was something that the demonic cultivators of the purple gold mainland would never have. Could it be that the demon god clan is hiding in the Demon Suppression Valley to seize the demon heart? Ming's expression changed slightly. If the demon god really obtained the demon heart, it would immediately become a disaster. The demon god clan appeared here. Deshurtion took a deep breath and completely restrained his aura in his body without leaking out. He quickly sneaked forward. In the blink of an eye, he came under a huge skeleton and looked forward. Even with his astounding willpower, he couldn't help but inwardly suck in a breath of cold air. There are so many demon gods. In front of him, there were a large number of demon gods gathered in the valley. There were 8-armed demon gods, multi-headed demon gods, dragon demons, fallen demon gods, blood-winged demon gods, and so on. Almost all the demon god clans that he had never seen before appeared in front of him. These demon gods all exuded extremely pure, demonic aura. Their bodies were cold, and they carried a cold, murderous aura. Even the weakest among them was a demon emperor. This was equivalent to an ancient demon saint, equivalent to an emperor expert in the world. And among them, the powerful ones were Sky Demon, who could suppress all directions. Looking at the number, there were probably no less than 1,000,000 demon emperors. And there were also close to 100,000 Sky Demon gods. 100,000 Sky Demons. Every Sky Demon was comparable to an ancient giant. Once they appeared in the purple gold mainland, they would be a terrifying force that could overturn almost half of the forces in the universe. 100,000 ancient giants. The power that this represented was simply unimaginable. The Demon God clan is so clever. They actually hid such a terrifying force in the purple gold mainland. If this force were to appear in a fierce battle with the demon gods, I wonder how terrifying the destructive power would be. D. Shurkin's pupils contracted violently. He had already guessed that the demon gods must have hidden in the universe. It was just that he did not know how many demon gods had hidden in the universe and how strong they were. However, he guessed that they were not weak, but he still did not expect them to be so terrifying. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 9:18. 100,000 Sky Demon level demon gods. Even if there were 10,000 of them, an unparalleled expert would curse loudly and run away. Although the difference in realms between a Sky Demon and an unparalleled expert was almost impossible to make up for, once there was a large number of them and they exploded at the same time, their destructive power would be absolutely terrifying. Such a number was enough to make anyone's scalp tingle. Perhaps in the ancient times, when the various clans had gathered and geniuses had risen, the purple gold continent would be able to produce 100,000 ancient giants. But now, the demon god clan spies in the purple gold continent alone numbered close to 100,000 Sky Demon. With such strength, it was almost certain that the demon god continent did not fall into a state of weakness after the ancient war. Instead, it developed even more rapidly and had countless experts, even more powerful. If there were 100,000 Sky Demon spies in the purple gold continent alone, then how many terrifying experts would there be on the demon god continent? The demon god continent has indeed not given up on the purple gold continent. They want to plunder the continent wholeheartedly. Although I know that the demon gods have entered the various realms, I did not expect them to be hiding here. D. Shurkin's gaze was deep as countless thoughts spun rapidly in his mind. He said thoughtfully, perhaps the assassins that appeared in the demon city back then came from here. Yamahal? Perhaps this is the real Yamahal. The assassins from back then appeared in his mind. Their shocking assassination techniques had left a deep impression on him. He was almost certain that the assassins were related to the Dark Knight elves of the demon god continent. I have only seen such a large number of Sky Demon during the ancient war. I'm afraid the purple gold continent will be at a disadvantage in this great calamity, Ming said with a serious expression. The scene in front of him gave him a great deal of pressure. The Demon God clan has actually gathered in the Demon Suppression Valley. Could it be that they are not only hiding their tracks, but also trying to break the seal on the demon heart? D. Shurtion quickly guessed. It was impossible for the Demon God clan to not know what was sealed in the Demon Suppression Valley. Since they were hiding here, there was no reason for them to not break the seal and rescue the demon heart. Once the demon heart was born, it would be a great disaster for the world. I'd like to see what these fiend celestials are hiding here for. In just a blink of an eye, Sakura had already made up his mind. He quickly skimmed forward like flickering light and passing shadow, as fast as lightning. With his flawless concealment technique, he hid between heaven and earth. Almost no demon gods could detect his figure as he easily passed through the tight guards. They entered the Fiend Celestial's defensive encampment. As he walked, there wasn't even a trace of air current in the air. Even the devil gods like Sky Demon didn't notice it at all. They just stood there, breathing in the vital energy of heaven and earth. The million Fiend Celestials in the valley were like an army of Fiend Celestials. As they traveled, they gradually arrived at the center of the demonic god's encampment. What a huge demon city! There are so many crossbows. Looking up, he saw a huge demon city standing strangely in midair amidst the blood fog. This demon city could accommodate tens of millions of Fiend Celestials. On the pitch-black city walls, there were hidden fortresses. Inside, there were many hideous and terrifying pitch-black crossbows standing upright. They emitted a ferocious aura, as though they were about to condense the image of a Fiend Celestial in the sky. It could be seen that these crossbows were definitely terrifying weapons. Yama. Dishurkin's eyes fell on the city gate of the demon city. There were two ancient Fiend Celestial characters, Yama. This was the demon city of Yama. But at the same time, he also confirmed a lot of information from the name. It is indeed the mastermind behind Yama Dien. In his heart, he had already completely linked the Fiend Celestials with the legendary assassin organization Yama Dien. He had already vaguely guessed earlier, and now he came to a conclusion without hesitation. When he looked around, he could clearly see the gigantic devil suppressing pagoda at the edge of the devil capital. Countless Buddhas and heavenly music echoed out from it. Rumble, only to hear a loud rumbling sound continuously resounding from the side of the demon-suppressing tower. Lunatic D, these Fiend Celestials are indeed attacking the demon suppression tower to rescue the demon heart. However, the demon-suppressing pagoda was casually created by the Space Dominator. The pagoda contains boundless power. Every floor contains countless space corridors, just like a maze. The demon heart is suppressed in the deepest part of the pagoda, and the experts of the various clans have added a large number of seals and restrictions. No matter how powerful these Fiend Celestials are, they will not be able to break the seal easily. Legend had it that the demon suppression tower was refined by the Space Dominator to suppress Fiend Celestials. It contained the supreme power of space. It was connected to countless space corridors, like a huge maze that did not circulate. Once one entered, there was a high chance of getting lost. Dishurkin's eyesight was amazing. When he looked over, the scene outside the demon suppression tower appeared clearly in his eyes. Outside the 9-layered demon subduing tower, there were 9 huge rings of light tightly enveloping the tower. Each ring of light was different. The first one was a blood-red ring of light. Within the ring of light, there were countless waves of blood. On the waves of blood, there were countless Azuras that were emitting shocking battle intent, constantly roaring. The second light was the image of countless Buddhas chanting scriptures. The third light was the image of countless Taoists releasing their power to subdue demons. The third light was a white halo that was filled with a shocking amount of righteous energy. A large number of Confucian scholars were reciting the famous sayings of the sages, summarizing the principles of heaven and earth. The fourth halo was countless deities sitting in the 9 heavens, emitting golden halos. Sacredness cannot be profaned. The fifth halo was filled with vast lightning. It turned into ferocious lightning dragons that shuttled through the halos. The sixth halo was a scene of countless flames burning the sky. The seventh halo turned into a pitch-black river that emitted an endless aura of death. The eighth halo was a long river of stars, with countless stars rotating inside. The vast power of the stars kept coming from the void. The ninth halo emitted an intoxicating aura, showing the scene of drunken stupor. These were the 9 restrictive seals that had been imprinted in the ancient times. Rumble. Outside, there were teams of sky demon soldiers. Each team had 10 sky demon soldiers. There were a total of 100 of them. They held terrifying demonic weapons in their hands and bombarded the 9 halos outside the tower. Puff! Each demonic army only attacked 3 times before they spat out demonic blood. They were severely injured by the 9 halos. However, Sky Demon soldiers immediately took over and attacked the restrictive seals on the tower. Wine God Incantation, lead the way for Divine Eye of Punishment, Delusion. The divine eye between Di Shirtian's eyebrows opened instantly. The Wine God Incantation left by the Wine God in his body turned into a primer to guide the way. From the divine eye, an invisible force of delusion burst forth, and he quickly looked at the demon subduing tower. The divine eye of punishment was the most wonderful existence in the world. Its power of delusion was incomparably magical. Coupled with the Wine God Incantation as a primer, in an instant, his gaze penetrated the entire restrictive barrier and fell directly on the demon subduing tower. It is indeed a space cloister. As soon as he pierced into the pagoda, the scene inside immediately appeared in his eyes. He could almost clearly see that there were many spatial corridors in the pagoda that were similar to the corridors in the staircase. These corridors were long and short, and they were all connected together in a disorderly manner, forming many forks. Some of the corridors contained a terrifying killing intent that would occasionally be annihilated. The destructive power produced by the annihilation could almost annihilate any ancient titan at the same time. The strangest thing was that these space cloisters were intertwined without any trace of pattern. It was as if they were constantly changing and reassembling together without any pattern to be found. This was an infinite maze of space cloisters. Some of these space cloisters were extremely sturdy, and even ancient titans could not break through them. Some were extremely fragile and would be destroyed as soon as one stepped on them. Such a space cloister maze, I'm afraid only a ruler can create it. Even if there were 1,000,000 demon gods, they would probably be completely wiped out once they entered this space cloister. They wouldn't even be able to find the way out. This was simply a dead end, an obvious death trap. The space ruler is not giving the demon heart a chance to escape. Di Shirtian thought to himself. Once inside, there was no way out at all. No wonder 1,000,000 demon gods gathered here, but still did not dare to make any rash moves. They only sent a few demon gods to slowly erase the restrictions on the tower. It turns out that they did not have the confidence to rescue the demon heart from the pagoda. Dark clicked his tongue. He had long seen that although the restrictions outside the pagoda were strong, they were not on the same level as the space cloister maze inside the pagoda. It was not difficult for 1,000,000 demon gods to break through the restrictions. They could break through it at any time. But the key was that they did not dare to step into the space cloister. They were afraid that they would be wiped out. It's not that they did not enter, but that they have already perished inside. Di Shirtian scanned the pagoda and found that there were skeletons of demon gods in some of the space cloisters. There were a large number of demon treasures and demon weapons scattered on the ground. It was likely that the demon gods had not tried but perished inside. From top to bottom, he scanned the pagoda inch by inch. Finally, at the top, countless terrifying space cloisters were constantly changing and intertwining with a strange space chamber in the center. The space chamber was a cage. Inside, there was a huge heaven and earth sacrificial altar. The sacrificial altar was divided into 8 sides. There were a total of 9 levels. At the top, there was a rainbow-colored, crystal-like, flawless heart. The heart was emitting an astonishing charm almost all the time. It was filled with irresistible temptation. It was like the most perfect work of art in the world. It was breathtakingly beautiful. On it, there were countless mysterious demon runes intertwined, as if they were explaining something. Just a glance at it could attract one's attention. On the heart, there was a beautiful woman who seemed to be the embodiment of all the beauty in the world. I wanted to about today, and it was quite lively. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 919. Those who have tickets, please help me. Quick, look for him. His figure has disappeared from the celestial mirror. Any invisibility technique is useless in front of the celestial mirror. It has no effect at all. The space in the Demon Suppression Valley is almost solid. There's no way he can enter the void fault. He can only leave as a beam of light. He definitely hasn't escaped. Could he have shrunk his body? Quickly, enlarge it and cover the entire valley. When countless demon gods saw Sakura's figure suddenly disappear from the ancient mirror, they immediately cried out loudly. Each and every one of them had a peculiar flame in their eyes, emitting a strong, evil aura. Demon gods were born to be aggressive. On the demon god continent, they were fighting almost every day. Killing was the only theme. Any race, any demon god, after they were born, they would be living in such an environment. The principle of the law of the jungle was already deeply ingrained in their bones. As soon as they discovered that there were intruders, they all shouted excitedly. The blood in their bodies was boiling. They were ready to tear the intruder into pieces once they found him. The celestial mirror really had a miraculous power. It immediately locked onto Di Shitian's figure again. When they saw Di Shitian's body, which was smaller than a speck of dust, appear in the ancient mirror and rapidly enlarge in an instant, the demon gods shouted excitedly again. It's a demon. Tear him apart. Some of the demon gods let out strange and cruel cries. The demon gods that were close to Sakura all rushed towards him in large strides. Boom! Boom! The 8-armed demon god, which was hundreds of feet tall, chased after Di Shitian with a ferocious look. Crazy D, you can't escape. That mirror is strange. It has completely locked onto you. Even if you turn into a stone, you still can't escape from its search. We have to destroy it. Otherwise, we won't be able to escape the demon god's pursuit. Ming looked at the demonic mirror hanging in the air and licked his lips. Humph. Di Shitian, am not someone who can be chased by just anyone. Di Shitian's body, which had shrunk to the size of a speck of dust, suddenly expanded. Almost instantly, he expanded to thousands of feet in size. His body that was escaping suddenly stopped. An intimidating aura burst forth from his body. He turned around and saw an 8-armed demon god chasing after him. The 8-armed demon god stepped on him with a cold expression. Rumble. His right foot stomped on the head of the demon god in an extremely domineering manner, and a vast picture scroll of the sun and the moon appeared beneath his feet. On the spot, the demon god's entire head was crushed like a watermelon, and his entire body was crushed into meat paste. On the ground, an incomparably huge footprint was left. In the footprints, there was a huge pool of flesh. This demon god has an undying demon body. The flattened lump of flesh began to squirm strangely. In the blink of an eye, it reformed into the body of the demon god. He let out a demonic roar. However, before he could shout, a huge hand that covered the sky descended from the sky and grabbed him. A powerful and domineering force instantly sealed all his power and imprisoned him on the spot. Ming, suppress him under the wheel of reincarnation, extract his demon soul, and interrogate him about his demon arts. I want to know everything about him. He grabbed the 8-armed demon god and sent him directly into the nether prison. In the nether prison, the wheel of reincarnation flew into the air and suppressed him under it. Then, the yin-yang mirror on the karma mirror shone at him and extracted his demon soul. Hee, don't worry. With me here, I can even interrogate him about the demon girl bathing. Ming licked his lips excitedly. Recently, there had been a lack of divine souls in the nether prison, which made it less fun. Now that he saw a new prey, he immediately became spirited. The grabbing and sending happened in the blink of an eye. Even the demon gods chasing after him did not have time to react. Immediately, a sky demon god was defeated and disappeared. Damn demons! How dare you hurt a brother of the demon god clan? Demon annihilation thunder art. Kill him. Another 8-armed demon god was on the verge of spitting fire from his eyes. His 8 arms danced wildly, and 8 pitch-black balls of lightning appeared in his hands. Countless bolts of lightning flickered wildly within them. interweaving into lightning runes that were as sharp as swords. They contained the vast power of lightning. It smashed down towards Tion's head. Rumble. In an instant, each thunderball turned into a lightning weapon, condensing into knives, spears, swords, staffs, halberds, daggers, lightning bells, and lightning flags. Each of them erupted with a terrible power that could kill thousands of demons. It was as if they had been created to kill demons. As soon as they were thrown out, they immediately sensed the demon aura on Tion's body. They blocked it and slashed at him. I gave you a chance, but you really want to open a dye house. Tion's expression was cold. Go. He had to go. However, there were different ways to go. Escaping in a sorry state was going to be a way to go. Facing them head-on, stepping on them a few times, and slapping them a few times was going to be impressive. Tion had originally planned to leave quietly, but he did not expect these demon gods to pursue him so relentlessly. He really was a caged bird. Fine, you want to chase me, right? Then I will play with you. Ultimate Emperor Creation Palm. Xing, he's circling. A huge purple gold hand that covered the sky suddenly appeared in front of those lightning weapons. In the palm, there seemed to be a vast and boundless Xing he that was spinning wildly, emitting an unimaginable devouring power. The surrounding vital energy of heaven and earth was swept into the palm like a tide, and even the 8 lightning weapons were sucked in without resistance. The purple gold hand clenched into a fist. Crack! The stars in the palm were extinguished, and the Xing, he collapsed. Everything was completely annihilated with this pinch. Clang! A stunning golden saber light broke out of its scabbard. The saber light condensed into a golden divine tiger with a pair of wings on its back. It was majestic and awe-inspiring, and it let out an earth-shattering roar. Countless resplendent golden sound waves rippled in the air, and the surrounding mountain rocks were shattered into powder on the spot. A perfect arc of light flashed in midair. Crack! The sharp tip of Tiger Soul had already pierced through that demon god's chest. It was fast, unimaginably fast, so fast that it was impossible to capture. In an instant, that sky demon god did not even have the chance to react before he was brutally stabbed in the chest by the saber. Tion's saber technique had already reached a level that was close to Tao. A casual wave of his hand had the supreme power to kill the heavens and earth. There were no more fancy moves in his saber technique, and every single move was fatal. Moreover, the moment Tiger's soul pierced that demon god's chest, an unimaginable and vast devouring power immediately burst forth from the saber. Large chunks of flesh and blood were swallowed. What a fast saber! The 8-armed demon god's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets, and he spat out blood from his mouth. He let out a cry, but there was a ferocious expression at the corner of his mouth. He roared fiercely, "Let's die together." Instead of retreating, he advanced and pounced on Tion, allowing Tiger Soul to pierce through his chest. He appeared in front of Tion almost instantly, and he laughed savagely at Tion. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of demonic blood. The demonic blood seemed to have a life of its own, and it turned into a bloody mist and landed on Tion's body. I will make sure that you, your children, and your loved ones will all die a horrible death. Misfortune will befall you, and you will die prematurely. The demon god let out a maniacal laugh that sounded like a curse. You won't have the chance to see it. Tion activated Tiger Soul with a cold expression. The demon god was completely devoured in the blink of an eye, and that mouthful of demonic blood strangely entered his body. This is the blood curse. What a ruthless demon god. This group of demon gods are indeed ruthless people who don't care about life and death. Underworld roared in his heart. The demon gods were not only ruthless to their enemies, but they were also ruthless to themselves. Even if they died, they would drag the other party down with them. You want to use the blood curse to curse I? You don't know the difference between life and death. Tion allowed the bloody mist to enter his body. He watched as the bloody mist turned into mysterious runes that were about to enter his body and completely fuse with it. He couldn't help but say coldly, "I'm the source of all evil. All curses return to their origin." Boom, boom, boom. The bloody mist that was about to enter his body seemed to have received a mysterious summon. It excitedly followed the demon vein and quickly entered the demon manor. When it appeared in front of the 11th rank Black Lotus, it sensed the aura emitted by the Black Lotus. Countless runes quickly twisted and fused together before charging into the Black Lotus. They quickly merged with the undying obsession in the Black Lotus. In the blink of an eye, 4 mysterious runes were formed: Blood Curse, Heavenly Fate, Misfortune, and Devil Fiend. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. TSK, you still dare to commit such a massacre in my demon god clan's encampment. You really have guts. What a demon emperor. What a D-Shirtion. Rumor has it that you're already in the heaven-reaching tower. I didn't expect that all the cultivators in the world would be fooled by you. However, since you are in my demon suppression valley and know the secret of my demon god clan, you should stay here obediently. Boom! In the sky above the ancient mirror, 4 pairs of bloody wings appeared without warning. It was almost impossible to see the ends. They were incomparably huge, like rivers of blood that filled the sky. They emitted a shocking bloody aura. There were 4 pairs of bloody wings that looked like bats. Upon closer inspection, one could see a young man so handsome that he didn't look like a man at all. His slightly pale face had a touch of evilness. He held a snow-white handkerchief in his hand and gently wiped his slender hands. He seemed to have some sort of mysophobia. He reached out and took the sky mirror in his hand. He really used it as a mirror. He looked in the mirror and carefully tidied up his snow-white clothes. Every move of his revealed a sense of elegance. After he finished tidying up his clothes, he waved his hand. A scepter appeared in front of him without anyone noticing. The scepter's body was silver-white, and at the top was a flawless blood-red gem. The gem was hexagonal and reflected an elegant light. So what if it is a dragon's lair or a tiger's den? When have I, D-Shirtion, ever been afraid? D-Shirtion's heart was as cold as ice. He had no intention of saying anything. He brazenly attacked. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 920. Damn, the power went out all of a sudden. How depressing. The purplish gold divine pattern between his brows suddenly glowed with resplendent divine light. As if it had a life of its own, it quickly parted to the sides. In the blink of an eye, an ice-cold purplish gold eye opened. In the divine eye, there was an irresistible majesty. Heaven's punishment divine eye annihilation. Since your ancient mirror can lock onto my position and track me, I will destroy you today. Let's see what else you can use to track me. D-Shirtion's heart was extremely cold, but in the coldness, there was a crazy fighting spirit. The Tiani ancient mirror was definitely the biggest obstacle for him to leave Demon Suppression Valley safely. Once he was locked on to by it, he would not be able to get rid of it no matter where he went. He did not like this feeling very much. Since he did not like it, he would destroy it completely. Since he was going to make a move, he would do it with a bang. Swoosh! A beam of purple gold divine light, carrying a supreme will that could annihilate heaven and earth, appeared in front of the Tiani demonic mirror in front of the young man. Without the slightest pause, he smashed heavily into the ancient mirror. Bang! In an instant, the ancient mirror let out a terrifying roar. The originally bright divine light dimmed at a speed visible to the naked eye. With a crack, countless cracks spread rapidly on the ancient mirror. In the blink of an eye, the entire ancient mirror was smashed into countless pieces by the annihilation divine light. It shot out in all directions. What a terrifying divine light. The young man's face suddenly changed, and he said angrily, "However, you dared to destroy my treasure. You deserve to die." Blood Lord Tiani. He was Blood Lord Tiani of the Demon God clan. His position was almost higher than sky demons. One could clearly see that the countless demon gods around him were looking at him with fear and even admiration. He was only a short distance away from becoming a demon emperor. The bloodline in his body was extremely noble, and he was from a superior clan in the demon god clan. At this moment, he was furious. The Tiani demonic mirror was his most cherished mirror. Yet, it had been destroyed by D. Shurtion. The killing intent in his heart surged like a tide. His eyes were filled with blood-red light. They were extremely cold, as if he was looking at a dead person. He held an ancient scepter in his hand. On the scepter, the mysterious blood-red crystal emitted a strange blood-red light. There seemed to be countless magic runes flickering inside. Ancient souls of the dead between heaven and earth, by my command, awaken from your eternal slumber. You will obtain a supreme power that will make all living beings tremble. You will transform into the noblest blood devils between heaven and earth and enjoy the feast of life. Kill all my enemies for me. Bloodmaster Tion glanced coldly at D. Shurtion. With an indescribable charm, he began to make an ancient demonic sound. As the demonic sound rang out, the blood-red crystal on the scepter radiated strange blood-red ripples, spreading to the ground covered in bones. Sha sha sha. Immediately, a series of strange noises could be heard from the ground. One by one, the incomplete souls of the dead woke up from their deep slumber and crawled out of the ground at the first moment. Then, bathed in the blood-red light, the dead souls underwent a strange transformation. They emitted blood-red light and turned into ferocious blood-red bats with mouths full of fangs. These blood-red bats were ferocious and terrifying. There were hundreds of thousands of them. When they gathered together, they formed a blood-red cloud. They let out strange cries. At the same time, they pounced on D. Shurtion. The ferocious aura emitted from each bat could actually shock Sky Demon's mind. You want to suck Eye's blood? Do you think these stinky bats are worthy? Sakura disdainfully glanced at the blood clouds that filled the sky and snorted. Since he wanted to fight, he wasn't afraid of any challenge. With a thought, a light flashed above his head, and a simple and unadorned ancient bell that was suffused with a crystal light appeared. Strange scrolls appeared on the bell's body. The ancient bell shook. Clang! A crisp and ancient bell sound burst out. The sound of the bell contained a strange power of reincarnation. It made everyone who heard the bell feel as if their entire mind had fallen into an endless cycle of reincarnation. Their entire body involuntarily became dazed. It directly targeted the soul. As for the blood-red bats, it was as if they were drunk. They swayed in midair and swayed violently. However, they were not killed by the sound waves from the ancient bell. Their bodies were abnormally tough and strange. They were actually not killed by the sound waves. What a strange group of bats. Very well, from now on, they will all work for I. Suppress seal. D. Shurtion picked up the ancient bell and curled it around the blood-red bats that were temporarily stunned. The ancient bell emitted a strong suction force and sucked all the blood-red bats into the ancient bell. On the ancient bell, a picture of a group of blood-red bats was formed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Firecrow formation burned the heavens and earth. On the ancient bell, there was a destructive divine light. The picture of a sea of fire and countless fire crows rippled continuously. Countless fire crows flew out of the ancient bell. The overbearing grandson primordial fire enveloped their bodies. Every fire crow was like a small sun. A large amount of grandson primordial fire whistled and rained down on the entire valley. There were more than 1 million fire crows that flew out in succession. Although none of them were comparable to the Fire Crow King, each of them had the overbearing power of an ancient demon sage. In particular, the grandson primordial fire on their bodies made their power even more terrifying. These million fire crows formed a mysterious formation. They turned into an incomparably huge sun. In an instant, it turned the Demon Suppression Valley into a furnace. Countless skeletons were instantly reduced to dust under the power of the grand sun primordial fire. Many demon gods were instantly incinerated. Not even a speck of dust was left behind. Oomph. If I want to leave, who can stop me? The demonic gods gathered in all directions. They were so dense that they had completely sealed off all directions. Indra wasn't afraid at all. With a flash of light on his face, the extreme emperor mask covered his face. On the mask, one expression after another was constantly changing. In the blink of an eye, it was a cold expression. A cold smile appeared on his face. Amidst the cold smile, he raised his head and looked at a pitch-black ancient gate that appeared in the void. His entire body disappeared under a strange situation at a speed visible to the naked eye. He turned into nothingness and disappeared from the entire demon suppression valley. Rumble. The ancient gate smashed heavily on the spot where Tion was originally standing. The ground caved in and a terrifying crack appeared. Following that, it flew into the air and collided with the sun formed by the fire crows. With a loud boom, the sun was completely destroyed. Seven Knights, Demon Master, you're here too. Bloodlord Tion, he looked at the ancient gate and shouted, "Quick, use the ancient gate to seal off the demon suppression valley. Don't let that demon emperor get away." The Seven Knights Demon Sovereign was right below the ancient demon gate. "No need. Didn't you see that mask just now?" Seven Knights Demon Master was still as cold and arrogant as before. He was like the king of the night. "Mask!" Bloodlord Tion, he retracted the huge blood wings behind his back, and a thoughtful expression appeared on his face. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and a shocked expression appeared on his face. He said in astonishment, "That mask is not an ordinary mask. On the surface, it can change one's expression. Could it be that his sudden disappearance was due to the power of that mask? No. Could that be the legendary returning void, Great Emperor's returning void mask? If I'm not wrong, that was one of the mystical abilities of the returning void mask, illusory reality." Chi looked at the void and said, "Moreover, that Tion is not an easy person to deal with. Now that he knows the secret of the demon suppression valley, I'm afraid that a large number of experts from all over the world will come after him. We must think of a way to rescue Lord Bewitching Heart as soon as possible." Oomph. So what if he knows? In this purple gold mainland, all the major forces from all over the world are too greedy. They're like a pack of wolves that can't be fed. As long as there are enough benefits, they'll even betray their ancestors. It's fine even if we have to dig up their ancestral graves. Bloodlord Tianyi's handsome face showed a trace of disdain. He said, "Moreover, this demon suppression valley has undergone countless changes over the years. It's not as easy to enter as you think. Just the blood river alone can cause countless casualties. Don't underestimate all over the world." Seven Knights, Demon Master said calmly. Whoosh! Outside the demon suppression valley, Tion appeared out of thin air. His entire body grew out of thin air inch by inch. From head to toe, he slowly appeared. It was a horrifying sight. Haha, we finally escaped. If this were to spread, I'm afraid no one would believe that we could escape from 1,000,000 demon gods without any injuries on our bodies. Ming laughed maniacally. Illusory reality. The ultimate Emperor mask, indeed, possesses unparalleled power that ordinary people can't imagine. Even the ancient demon gate couldn't seal it. With this ability, even an unparalleled expert would have a hard time killing me. Tion mumbled to himself. Ever since the ultimate Emperor mask was unsealed, it had fully displayed all of its abilities. One of them was the ability that he had just displayed, illusory reality. When this ability was displayed, it could turn real flesh into an illusion, completely transforming into nothingness as if it didn't exist. It was even more powerful than drinking the illusory spirit wine. Once turned into an illusion, not only would one's speed increase by dozens of times compared to before, it would also be difficult for any attacks to harm oneself. Undefeated in the world, it was an extremely heaven-defying ability. He had just displayed it, and he had easily escaped from 1,000,000 demon gods. That was how powerful it was. As for the other ability of the mask, it was called illusory reality. If the previous ability was to save one's life, then this ability would allow one to possess unparalleled combat strength. With D. Shurtian's ability, once he displayed it, he would be comparable to an unparalleled expert. He would be able to go against them and not be defeated. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 921. Real Illusion. Illusory Reality. The combination of one attack and one defense was almost perfect. Lunatic D. You should have used illusory reality just now to beat that gigolo into a pig's head, stomp him in a meat paste, and suppress him in the nether prison. It's too cowardly to escape like this. Dark's eyes flickered, emitting a dangerous aura as he shouted indignantly. He was actually forced to retreat by a gigolo. His stomach was filled with anger. That Yama Demon City is not simple. It's definitely not what it looks like on the surface. There must be an unparalleled demon god that is comparable to an unparalleled expert. Moreover, that Chi-Yi is also in the Demon Suppression Valley. D. Shurtian said thoughtfully. His expression was solemn. Originally, he did want to cause a ruckus among the millions of demon gods. Even if he was seriously injured, he wanted to make the demon gods pay a painful price. Even Blood Honorable Tion, he wanted to completely suppress them. However, at the moment when he was about to make a move, an inexplicable sense of danger emerged in his heart. It was full of arrogance. In the demon city, there was a terrifying power that could truly threaten his life. Immediately, after getting this feeling, he did not dare to stay in the valley any longer. He immediately activated the power of the extreme Emperor mask and quickly escaped. He was sure that the aura definitely belonged to an unparalleled demon god. Even the number of heavenly demon-level demon gods that had entered the city had reached a terrifying number of close to 100,000. He did not believe that there was no unparalleled demon god in Devil City. Not only that, but there might be more than one. One had to know that those who broke through the void from the land of exile all had the supreme potential to become unparalleled experts. After countless years, they would have broken through to become unparalleled demon emperors. If not, how could D. Shurtian suddenly leave in a dignified manner? He would not stop until he turned the world upside down. Lunatic D, what do you plan to do now? Ming blinked as she asked. The Demon Suppression Valley in front of him was an extremely troublesome matter. How to deal with it was a huge problem. D. Shurtian's gaze was abnormally deep. He lifted his head and stared at the void as he spoke in a meaningful tone. This devil god has already infiltrated the myriad of worlds. The matters regarding the Violet Gold Continent aren't things that I, or even the demon race, need to be concerned about. Didn't the position of my demon race already get taken over? Those who are capable do more work. Back then in the ancient era, my demon race already blocked the devil god once. Aren't they capable? Well then, the matter of the demon gods should be handled by them. His tone carried a hint of staying out of the matter. D. Shurtian did not intend to use the entire demon race to go head-to-head with a million demon gods. Even if he won in the end, it would be the demon race that would suffer a loss. Moreover, if word of this spread out, not many would be grateful. Who knows, they might even stab him in the back a few times. The demonic beasts had already learned their lesson once. He did not want to repeat the same mistake a second time. Why should the demons be the ones to resist the fiend celestials? Why should others be able to reap the fruits of their labor, accept success, and reap the benefits? However, he didn't need to pay any losses. Why? Yes, the demon race did have the right to question him. No one could blame them. The humans did not have the right, and neither did the 100 ancient tribes. Even if they discovered a million demon gods this time, D. Shurtian had already decided that he would not interfere. He would be the one to stick his neck out and be the idiot. Furthermore, not only would he not care, but he would also involve the humans, as well as the 100 ancient tribes who had finished recuperating. He was going to spread the news, and not only spread it, he was going to use it as a map. He was going to lock down the entire Devil Suppression Valley. He was going to drag the humans and the other major powers into this. Otherwise, they would never understand the pain that the demon race had endured in the past. Well said. Well said. Lunatic D, you're right. Why should we, the demon race, stand in the way of everything? Don't the humans think they're the main characters of heaven and earth? Then let them stand in the way. That way, we'll force them to reveal their hidden strength. Humans are the best at hiding things. They won't reveal their true strength until the very last moment. When it came to scheming and plotting, Inferno seemed to be in high spirits. Furthermore, if we do that, all of the other major powers in the universe will be focused on Devil Suppression Valley. That way, we'll have less attention in the Sky Split Pagoda, and it'll make it easier for you to find the demon summoning banner. The stellar transposition will be immeasurably useful. How about this? When we spread the news, we'll say that anyone who obtains a demon heart will be able to learn the secrets of becoming a sovereign lord and forge an undying and indestructible Tao foundation. That way, countless experts will go crazy over it. His eyes narrowed, and they glittered with dangerous light. He had just spat out a vicious plan. Furthermore, it was aimed at the most irresistible part of any expert. As long as one was a cultivator, no one could resist power. Once the rumor that a demon heart could forge a supreme Tao foundation for becoming a sovereign lord spread, regardless of whether it was true or not, countless experts would flock over. When Di Shirtian heard this, he fell into deep thought. He coldly swept his gaze over the demon-suppressing valley before quickly turning around and disappearing. However, he left a mark on the huge stone tablet above the demon-suppressing valley. He connected the imprint to a white jade tablet. Immediately, a blood-red divine steel appeared on the white jade tablet. This divine tablet wasn't still. Instead, it was constantly moving. However, no matter how it moved, its position would always appear on the tablet. Whoosh! On the purple-gold continent, in a nameless mountain range, Di Shirtian stepped out of the void. He stood on a mountain peak. Come out. Di Shirtian glanced at the ground in front of him and said in a deep voice, Crash! As soon as his voice trailed off, the ground nearby suddenly caved in soundlessly to reveal a small black hole. A black groundhog squirmed out of the hole in an agile manner, and light flashed from its body as it transformed into a thin young man in a set of black undergarments. However, there was a pair of bright eyes on his face. When he saw Di Shirtian, his eyes couldn't help but fill with uncontrollable worship, fanaticism, and respect. He immediately knelt down and said, Supervisor Demon Guard, EarthNet Division, Earth 5, greets your majesty. The intelligence department of the Supervisor Demon Guard, which was led by Big Rat, had been separated. It was formed by a large number of elites of the rat race, the EarthNet Division. They were responsible for monitoring the myriad realms and the purple gold continent. They had thoroughly implemented Di Shirtian's philosophy. As long as there were living creatures, there would be eyes and ears of the demon race. Big Rat's philosophy was the supreme goal. With the help of the rat race's powerful ability to dig holes, they had constructed an unimaginably large underground intelligence network in large areas. They wanted the EarthNet Division to cover the entire world. As long as the EarthNet Division covered the entire world, even if there was a slight change, it would immediately be transmitted to the Demon City. You may rise. Sakura nodded. In his heart, he secretly praised Rat Da's achievements during this period of time. The demon race must have more talents in order to rise. He handed the Jade Tablet to Earth 5 and said, Immediately find a hidden place to hide this Jade Tablet and activate all the power of the EarthNet Division. I want to see, from tomorrow onwards, all the cultivators in the purple gold continent and the myriad realms will be talking about this matter. As he spoke, he took out a jade box containing all the rumors. As your majesty commands, I will definitely do it properly. Earth 5's eyes shone with fanaticism and excitement. It was as if this was a supreme honor. Go. After you're done, go and report to Big Rat. Di Shirtian waved his hand, and dismissed him. Earth 5 did not hesitate at all. He turned back into a groundhog and burrowed back into the hole. The ground started to move quickly. The hole that had appeared was filled up in the blink of an eye. There was not a single trace left behind. It was as if the hole had never existed before. I believe that this time will be very interesting. Tion looked at the void with a smile that did not seem like a smile. He turned and soared into the air. Below his feet, a purple gold divine light wrapped around his body. He paused in the air, then without hesitation, shot through the air in the direction of the heaven-reaching tower. Diyu stood on his shoulder. She closed her eyes and quickly breathed in the surrounding yuan qi. When she faced the demon god, she felt a sense of helplessness in her heart. This made her want to become stronger and stronger. She wanted to help her father. In the blink of an eye, it was the second day. Today was destined to be a day that would shock the entire universe. The 100 ancient clans had returned, and it could be said that they were powerfully garrisoned on the purple gold continent. They quickly settled down, and all of them secretly raised their vigilance by several times, or even several hundred times. They were waiting for the humans to arrive. However, before the human race could launch an attack, they received a shocking piece of news. On the ancestral god island at the top of the myriad gods archipelago of the three-eyed divine clan, there was a majestic ancestral god palace. Within the palace, there were thrones that represented the god positions and the experts with lofty statuses in the three-eyed divine clan. What? The Demon Suppression Valley has appeared. The demon heart that was sealed in the Demon Suppression Tower back then could be used to forge the Tao foundation of a ruler. It allows a peerless expert to have the foundation to become a ruler. A human cultivator found a jade tablet that recorded the location of the Demon Suppression Valley. It contains the path to enter the Demon Suppression Valley. Regardless of whether this is true or not, we must immediately find that jade tablet. Rumor has it that the sealed demon heart is the heart of the heart-devouring demon lord, one of the 9 great demon ancestors of the demon god continent. The rumor may not be untrustworthy. No matter what, we must enter the Demon Suppression Valley. If we can obtain the demon heart and forge the Tao foundation of a ruler, our three-eyed god race will have a supreme ruler. Immediately, countless members of the three-eyed god race gathered on the myriad gods archipelago and were dispatched. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original. Chapter 922. It's the middle of the month. I have the urge to explode. Brothers, give me some explosive passion and motivation. Be prepared to explode tomorrow or the day after. Those with tickets, throw them. In the skeleton race's residence on the purple gold continent, Skeleton Valley, there was a palace made of white bones standing there. A conversation could be heard from within. The Demon Suppression Valley has appeared. Back then, our skeleton race participated in the suppression. The demon heart of the heart-devouring demon lord is indeed suppressed in the valley. It's said that the demon heart contains the great power of a half-step ruler. The rumor that obtaining the demon heart can create the foundation of a ruler is not necessarily false. That's right. This demon heart is the true supreme treasure. Back then, the Space Dominator was afraid that the Demon Suppression Valley would cause trouble, so he casually sent the Demon Suppression Valley into countless spaces. It drifted wantonly on the purple gold continent, and it was almost impossible to track it down. Even peerless experts couldn't calculate its true location. Therefore, the Jade Tablet that records the location of the Demon Suppression Valley is the only key to enter. We must snatch it. Even if we can't let anyone else have it. If we can obtain the demon heart, our skeleton race will stand above all the other races in the world. The skeleton race seemed to know some legends about the Demon Suppression Valley. Without much hesitation, countless experts in black robes left the Skeleton Valley. They sent messages to the fire seed skeletons hidden in every corner of the continent to search for the whereabouts of the Jade Tablet. Almost all the races of the ancient 100 races sent out large numbers of experts to search the entire continent without hesitation. In the human race, it wasn't just the 10 great immortal sects. All the other major forces gathered their experts and began to discuss. In the blink of an eye, large numbers of cultivators flooded into the purple gold continent. Temptation. This was a powerful temptation that no expert could resist. The Tao foundation of a ruler was the source of all the peerless experts' desire. It was said that peerless experts were detached from worldly affairs and ignored worldly affairs. It wasn't that they didn't care about fame or fortune, but that there were too few things in the world that could tempt them. The things they fought for were beyond the boundaries of ordinary cultivators. It was the difference between heaven and earth. As soon as word spread that the devil heart could be used to forge the foundation of the sovereign Lord's foundation, all of the powerful experts in hiding were shaken, and their eyes began to shine with fiery light. After the rumor spread, in just one day, the entire world was in complete chaos. Countless rumors danced in the air, and countless pieces of information spread like a tide. With the power of the human race, and even the 100 ancient races, when activated at the same time, that kind of energy was unimaginably terrifying. In just one day, the cultivator who obtained the jade slab was found. Have you heard? That lucky cultivator who found the jade slab is called Lei Zhengyu. He's the young master of one of the human race's cultivation families, the Lei clan. This Lei clan is really something. They actually have an old ancestor who has reached the immortal emperor realm. However, it's okay to take things that you shouldn't have. Lei family has already been annihilated. Their immortal emperor old ancestor Lei, has already been dismembered by a flurry of blades. He has completely fallen on Thundercloud Mountain. Lei Zhengyu is also dead. I don't know which faction stole the jade slab. In just a blink of an eye, the process of the matter was immediately spread. From the beginning, it was an extremely bloody massacre, and the jade slab mysteriously disappeared. 3 days later, another piece of news came. I didn't expect the Five Elements sect to be the one who annihilated the Lei clan. Even the jade slab was taken by the Five Elements sect. The Five Elements sect was invaded by a mysterious expert. 5 ancient giants and thousands of immortal emperors were killed overnight. Countless disciples of the Five Elements sect were massacred. Blood flowed like a river. News spread that a sect had been wiped out. Over 1 million cultivators had been massacred and completely destroyed. Even the jade slabs had disappeared without a trace. The entire continent was filled with undercurrents, and it was filled with a murderous aura. It was unknown how many pairs of eyes were staring at the jade slab. Following that in the next 10 days, on the purple gold continent, monstrous massacres were swept up again and again. The jade slab also changed owners time and time again. Various clans were swept up in one after another. All eyes were completely focused on the fight for the jade slab. Whoosh! Di Shirtian continued to use divine light to escape. Finally, he came to the ice region where the heaven-reaching tower was located. Divine light descended from midair and landed on the thick layer of ice. Breathing in the cold air that could almost freeze blood, the Emperor True Force circulated in his body for a few rounds, refining all the cold air. Heaven-reaching tower, I'm here again. Di Shirtian looked up. The wind and snow in the sky couldn't block his gaze at all. It directly penetrated all the barriers, and at a glance, he saw the mysterious tower that connected heaven and earth standing in the ice region. That tower soared into the sky, one layer after another. It was almost impossible to see how many layers this tower had, as if it could really connect to the sky. TSK. The heaven-reaching tower of the 9 great forbidden lands. Crazy Emperor, did you know that the heaven-reaching tower is the most mysterious of the 9 great forbidden lands? Underworld narrowed his eyes and looked up into the sky, as though he wanted to see the end of the pagoda. A look of indescribable longing appeared in his eyes as he sighed. The reason the Heaven-span Pagoda is called the Heaven-span Pagoda isn't just because it's mysterious and unfathomable. Rumor has it that the top of the heaven-span pagoda leads to the legendary, eternal heaven realm. The sudden revelation of this secret caused Di Shurtian's eyes to shine with a strange light. It was as if countless shocking waves were crashing in his mind. Could the heaven-reaching tower possibly lead to the legendary, eternal, celestial world? Sakura took a deep breath. He deeply knew that even if it was only a guess, even if it was only a rumor, but if it was spread out, there would be countless cultivators who would immediately go crazy and enter the Tower of Babel without caring about anything else. Perhaps it was a flight of stairs that led to the heavens. It's a pity that even the most powerful people in the heaven-reaching tower can't go beyond the 9th layer. Even if they can reach the heavens, I'm afraid only the sovereigns can truly explore the path. He shook his head slightly. He knew that no matter how big the secret of the heaven-reaching tower was, it was definitely not something he could pry into right now. If he overestimated himself, it would be very normal for him to die in the tower. It's time to meet up with the Rock Demon King and the others. Di Shurtian threw all the thoughts out of his mind. This time, Tian Can and Huang Quan didn't come. Instead, they used the 7 orifices exquisite pot and the saintly cleansing lotus to refine Di Shurtian's emperor robe in the demon city. However, the Rock Demon King and the Haze King by Xian came with him. The Rock Demon King had to come. Shui Wuya's heavenly rock bloodline was the only key to opening the heavenly rock's secret realm. In front of the heaven-reaching tower, a large area around them was isolated by the mysterious power of Skysplit Tower, forming an independent space. The ground was covered with black and smooth stone slabs, forming a wide square. In the square, 9 huge primordial fierce dragons were lying on the ground, but their heads were desperately raised. They raised their heads proudly, emitting a primordial aura. Behind them was a heavenly emperor's war chariot filled with the will of an emperor. On the war chariot, the canopy rotated at a constant speed, emitting billions of rays of light. Around the war chariot, teams of blood-red blood-killing guards with blood-red battle swords on their backs coldly guarded every position that could attack the war chariot. Just by standing there, their murderous aura had already filled the entire space, sealing the space. 30,000 blood-killing guards guarded the 4 directions. Outside the war chariot, the Rock Demon King, Shui Wuya, was holding a feather fan in his hand. He gently waved it with a faint smile on his face. Brother Shuesher, it seems that the number of spies in the dark has decreased these days. Moreover, even if they're spying, they seem to be a little careless. The situation seems to have changed. Although Shui Wuya was still smiling, he seemed to be casually scanning the surroundings with the corner of his eyes as he spoke softly. Around the square, a large number of cultivators had gathered. They were all rubbing their hands, as if they were preparing to enter the heaven-reaching tower and fight with the savage beasts. There were hundreds of thousands of them. Moreover, when they gathered together, they formed a small market where they could buy all kinds of elixirs, talismans, magical treasures, weapons, and so on. The corpses of the savage beasts obtained from the tower could also be exchanged for a large sum of money in the market. Inside, from the moment they arrived, they could clearly feel that there were countless pairs of eyes hidden in the dark staring at them. Based on this situation, I'm afraid that something major must have happened in the outside world, diverting their attention to a large part of it. Shuesher held a wine gourd in his hand and took a few sips silently. His body exuded a sense of shrewdness as he spoke. At this moment, a purple-gold divine light eerily pierced through the air from outside and rushed into the heavenly emperor's war chariot. The canopy on the war chariot did not even stop it and directly let it pass through. "Let's go into the tower." As if sensing something, Shui Wuya and the others looked at each other. Without thinking, the 9 primordial fierce dragons suddenly became spirited. They pulled the chariot and rushed into the Tower of Babel. The 3 blood-killing generals and 30,000 blood-killing guards immediately followed. "Quick, catch up. Don't lose them." When the Demon Clan's group had all entered, in the market, ordinary-looking cultivators rushed out and entered the tower, as if they were going to enter the tower to hunt savage beasts. At the same time, a shocking news was spreading crazily on the purple gold continent. Crazy! The Jade Tablet was obtained by the mysterious successor of the human clan's supreme mystery sect, and he made a declaration to the myriad worlds that he will make the Jade Tablet public at Xinxiang Peak. Share it with the myriad worlds. Explore the demon-suppressing valley together. The Three-Eyed God Clan has already announced that they are willing to share and agree to explore the demon-suppressing valley together. Could it be that all the major forces are planning to join forces? Enter the demon-suppressing valley together? Heavens, the Skeleton Clan, the Star Clan, the Shadow Clan, and so on. Almost half of the clans are in agreement with this proposal. It seems that the secret of the demon-suppressing valley is about to be revealed to the world. Who knows? We might be able to explore countless ancient treasures. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 923. The 10 Great Immortal Sects of the Human Race. The various major powers and the 100 ancient races are joining forces. This kind of power can probably flatten the entire Demon Suppression Valley. This will be another grand gathering of the 10,000 treasures Crimson Tide. Legend has it that the Demon Suppression Valley appeared because of the Space Dominator's will. When the Space Dominator makes a move, it will definitely not be an ordinary thing. There might even be treasures that can make peerless experts stronger. As soon as the announcement was spread out, it instantly spread throughout the myriad of worlds in the universe, and even the ears of the various great powers. All of them became restless and intended to head to Xinxiang Peak and enter Devil Suppression Valley with the intention of getting a share of the loot. At the same time, every well of divines and devils in the universe was bustling with noise and excitement. People were entering the purple gold mainland through the well of divines and devils. As long as they had a cultivation base, they didn't hesitate at all. This migration seemed to have become a trend. It was as if they were escaping from some kind of disaster. Those who stayed behind were only some cultivators with low cultivation. On the Violet Gold Continent, there would be a huge number of living beings arriving almost every day. The number of living beings was in the trillions. At the same time, there were also countries and empires that directly descended and rapidly occupied a region. It was like the beast race occupying the wild beast plains in the north. Countless beasts immediately built their dharma, houses, and tribes on the boundless wild beast plains. They quickly spread across the plains. They wanted to take root. For example, the Wanshou Imperial Dynasty moved the entire Imperial Dynasty to the west of the continent, occupying millions of miles of territory. In the Wanshou Imperial Dynasty, there was a huge mother-child sacred river. As long as one drank the water of the river, they would immediately become pregnant and give birth to a baby girl. In the Imperial Dynasty, there was a group of peerless beauties who drank the water of the mother's sacred river and gave birth to even more beautiful daughters than the mothers. These women were sent to various factions, and it was unknown how many connections they had. It could be said that their roots were deeply rooted. Ever since the return of the 100 races, the purple gold continent had been changing almost every day. Moreover, the cities that people lived in had also undergone obvious changes. Ordinary creatures lived in ordinary cities, but the cities that cultivators lived in were floating ancient cities that could accommodate millions or even tens of millions of cultivators. They all flew into the sky and stood in the air. It was obvious that he was aloof. However, compared to the Demon Suppression Valley, the Legend of the Demon Heart, and the Ruler's Tao Foundation, the changes in the Violet Gold Continent didn't attract much attention. All eyes were focused on the Demon Suppression Valley. 3 days later, for some unknown reason, the experts that the Star Tribe had sent out returned to the Star Tribe one after another. They even announced without hesitation that they had given up on the trip to the Demon Suppression Valley and the fight for the Demon's Heart. It was as if he didn't want to get involved in that mess. Although the other forces found the Star Tribe's actions strange, They were secretly happy to see it happen. The Star Tribe's departure was equivalent to giving up a share of the benefits. Once they gained something, they would be able to gain more benefits. Why wouldn't he be happy? However, the Li tribe, Tianxiang tribe, Dragon tribe, and the others all withdrew from the alliance as if they had planned it beforehand. He no longer interfered in the affairs of the Demon Suppression Valley. Suddenly, the situation in the Demon Suppression Valley became a little strange. However, the temptation of the demon heart was too strong. Even if they smelled something unusual, not many forces were willing to retreat at this critical moment. On Xinxiang Peak, there were still many experts gathered to discuss the matter of going to the Demon Suppression Valley. At this moment, in the Tong Tian Tower, 9 primordial ferocious dragons were pulling the Sky Emperor's war chariot. The Bloodkill guards were following on both sides of the war chariot. Beside the war chariot were 3 Bloodkill generals. In a distortion, they appeared in the vast world of the Tong Tian Tower. Between heaven and earth, there was naturally a huge pressure that pressed down on all the living beings in the tower. Gravity. The gravity here was 10 times stronger than the outside world. In the tower, one would have to endure 10 times stronger gravity than the outside world. This was only the first level. Once one went up to the second level, the gravity would be close to 100 times stronger. The third level would be close to 1,000 times stronger. The fourth level would be close to 10,000 times stronger. Going up one by one could imagine that if one didn't know his own strength and stepped into a certain level, he might be crushed to a pulp on the spot. The first time Di Tian came in, he was crushed to the point that he fell from the sky. What a strange world. Every level of this Tong Tian Tower is like a complete world. Bai Zian's indifferent eyes scanned the surroundings. The moment she entered, her delicate body trembled slightly, and she had already adapted to the 10 times stronger gravity. There seemed to be an otherworldly charm on her. As she spoke, her eyes were still fixed on the jade bamboo in her hand. She extended her jade-like fingers again and again, drawing one mysterious rune after another. This Tong Tian Tower is vast and boundless. Almost every place is occupied by savage beasts. Entering this place, we can't let our guard down. Some savage beasts have all kinds of inconceivable powers. We can't judge them by their strength. Peng Demon King Shui Wuya waved the feather fan in his hand. His handsome face had a serious expression. He wasn't making a fuss. Some savage beasts were so terrifying that they couldn't be judged by their ranks. For example, the barbarian bull clan. Their eyes could almost ignore any defense. Once they were used, they could immediately kill cultivators with a stare. Wuya, which level is the Tian Peng secret mirror? Di Tian walked out of the celestial emperor's chariot. With a wave of his hand, the chariot and the 9 dragons returned to his inner world. He looked at the elegant Shui Wuya and asked seriously. Other than the 3 Blood Massacre generals, there were also Shui Shi, Medusa, Shui Wuya, Bai Zian, Huluzi, and Xie Sanyang. There were a total of 6 of them. Shui Shi, Huluzi, and Xie Sanyang were all ancient heavenly demon realm experts. Medusa, Shui Wuya, and Bai Zian had extraordinary talents. With the best cultivation conditions, they had already broken through to the ancient demonic saint realm. In addition to the 3 generals of Bloody Massacre, the power that was produced when they gathered together was definitely not to be underestimated. Hearing Di Tian's question, Huluzi, Xie Sanyang, and the others all looked at Shui Wuya. They were all survivors from the ancient times. How could they be unfamiliar with the golden-winged Great Rock King, who had dominated the various worlds in the ancient times? In the ancient times, when the Great Rock Demon Venerable was mentioned, everyone was filled with awe and did not dare to slight it. Hearing that, Shui Wuya shook his head slightly and said, "Where is the Tian Peng secret mirror? Wuya doesn't know either. In my lineage, only this thing has been passed down. My mother once told me that as long as I open it, I will naturally know the way to the secret mirror. However, I can only open it if I have no other choice, or if I meet the true lord of the demonic beasts. Therefore, I have never been to the secret mirror." As he said that, he suddenly rolled up his left sleeve. A cold light flashed from the edge of the feather fan in his right hand. It quickly slid across his arm. A wound appeared, and blood flowed down. However, he didn't care at all. He put his hand into the wound and casually pulled out a sesame-sized golden jade box. After that jade box came out, it instantly enlarged. It returned to its normal size. It was hidden in his flesh. When this scene landed in the eyes of Shui and the others, they were also shocked. "I'll give this to you, demonic emperor." Shui didn't have any expression on his face when he took out the jade box from his flesh. His wound quickly healed. At the same time, he held the jade box with both hands as if he was holding up countless heavy mountains. He brought it in front of Di Shirtian and looked at him seriously. "I won't let you down." Di Shirtian took a deep breath and also carefully took the jade box in his hands. When Shui saw Di Shirtian take the jade box, it was as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. "Drip a drop of blood to open the jade box," Shui said. "Okay." Di Shirtian didn't even think. He immediately used the tiger soul to cut open a wound on his index finger. A drop of purple gold blood with an extremely dense royal aura fell on the jade box. Crack! When the blood fell on the jade box seemed to have a life of its own and quickly swallowed the blood. At the same time, the entire jade box emitted a golden divine light. Countless strange cracks appeared on the surface of the jade box, densely distributed all over the jade box. In an instant, the jade box shattered into millions of pieces of various sizes. These pieces weren't destroyed. Instead, there was some kind of mysterious power within them. The moment they shattered, they immediately gathered in the middle. Roar! Amidst the golden divine splendor, a figure whose entire body was glittering with golden light suddenly condensed. It seemed as if it was cast from gold, and its body revealed a pride that came from its bones. An invisible pressure crushed towards the Sakura without holding back. Rumble. Countless ripples appeared in the air. Oomph. When Sakura saw this, he didn't move his feet at all. With a thought, the illusory willpower that had been condensed in his body suddenly burst out. Within a radius of 10 feet, it was as if it had completely turned into his domain. All the ripples that came in were immediately crushed into pieces. Willpower. An emperor's will was originally unparalleled and domineering. Once it condensed into willpower, this kind of domineering was even more terrifying. All who disobeyed would be destroyed. When the giant rock saw the emperor's will emerging from Di Shirtian's body, its proud eyes revealed an undetectable smile. It withdrew its pressure naturally and nodded slightly. In an instant, its entire body entered the divine light. A golden jade map. This golden jade map contains the map to the Tian Peng mystic realm. This is a map. The divine light in the air quickly receded, and a 1-meter wide golden jade map appeared in front of them. On the map, there were some lifelike landscape paintings and faintly discernible strange routes. When connected, it seemed to lead to some mysterious location. The 4th level. Sakura held the golden jade painting in his hand, and his eyes quickly scanned the painting. In the painting, he could clearly see a demon character, and that demon character was only marked with the word "for." Clearly, this indicated that the map in the Golden Jade map was within the 4th level. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 924. Those with tickets, please raise them up. Father, is this the heaven-reaching tower? Yours feels a very familiar aura here. There is some energy that is constantly drilling into my body. Dior blinked her eyes and suddenly spoke. She felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity in the surroundings. Moreover, there was a strange energy in the air that was constantly entering her body. It made her feel like she was constantly becoming stronger and undergoing some kind of strange transformation. Something seemed to be awakening in her body. Di Shirtian quickly put away the golden jade map. This map contained the path to the Tian Peng secret mirror. He could not afford to be careless. When he heard Du Er's words, he could not help but reveal a look of concern. He looked at her and saw that the snow-white feathers on Du Er's body were glowing with a divine light. This was especially so for the 3 divine feathers behind her. They swayed with divine light and were abnormally bright. There was an inexplicable aura of a ruler on her body. How? Du seemed to be unable to endure it. She shot off from Di Shitian's shoulder like an arrow and appeared in midair. She let out a clear cry, and as she cried out, her body rapidly grew. In the blink of an eye, she had turned into an emperor phoenix that was thousands of feet tall. All around her, in the world, strands of mysterious power furiously burrowed into her body. This energy was invisible and colorless. It was almost impossible to capture. Delusion breaker, Di Shitian shouted in his heart. A purple-gold divine light flashed between his brows. Strands of delusion breaker energy enveloped Du as he scanned the surroundings. There is indeed something strange. What is this? Even with the eye of clairvoyance, he could not see through it. However, with the delusion breaker energy, everything in the surroundings could not hide. In the world of the heaven-reaching tower, there were strands of inexplicable yuan qi that could not be seen through by the naked eye or ordinary eye techniques. This yuan qi was extremely strange. It was invisible and formless, but it filled every inch of space. It was erratic. From time to time, it would be sucked into the bodies of some savage beasts. Every time it absorbed a strand, the flesh of the savage beasts would strengthen a little. Moreover, there was a unique aura of desolation within the origin qi. This is the ancient desolate qi from the barbaric era. It is said that this ancient desolate qi has the ability to strengthen one's physical body. Legend has it that savage beasts were born from this ancient desolate qi. Legend has it that the ancestors of savage beasts came out from an ancient desolate door. Although their intelligence is low, they can instinctively absorb the ancient desolate qi and strengthen their physical bodies. As for this ancient desolate qi, it had already disappeared after the savage beast disappeared from the purple gold mainland. Dark knew everything Di Shitian saw. When he saw the gray gas in the air, he couldn't help but say in surprise, although Du has your bloodline, her body is still that of a savage beast. She has the bloodline of the Emperor Phoenix. In the outside world, she has never come into contact with the desolate ancient qi. If I am not wrong, she should be undergoing the baptism of the desolate ancient qi, awakening the true bloodline in her body and becoming the king of savage beasts. Once she completes the baptism, her strength will increase tremendously in a short period of time. Du was born to be the king of savage beasts. She had an irresistible affinity with the ancient desolate qi. Dark, is there any way to absorb the ancient desolate qi? Looking at the strands of ancient desolate qi rushing into Du's body, Di Shitian could clearly feel that her body, her flesh, and blood were growing and transforming at a terrifying speed. Traces of the intimidating aura of a king were emitted from her body. An invisible pressure spread out crazily in all directions. Roar! Roar! In the surroundings, countless savage beasts raised their heads to look at Du in the sky. They could feel the powerful pressure radiating from her body. The suppression that came from her bloodline caused the savage beasts to involuntarily kneel down, as if they were worshipping the birth of a king. Roar! Du's body was completely enveloped by the 3 divine lights. She let out a joyful cry. Of the 3 divine feathers behind her, the red one swept slightly. Countless flames spread across the ground, covering the sky and covering the earth. Countless ancient trees were instantly burned to ashes. The water in the ground evaporated in an instant and cracked inch by inch. The ground turned into a desert. The blue divine feathers flapped, and countless snowflakes fell. The originally blazing flames dissipated, and the desert below turned into an ice domain at a speed visible to the naked eye. Countless ice crystals covered the ground. With just a thought, she had the power to change the world. Yu-Er's battle strength is already close to that of an ancient heavenly demon. She might break through to become a savage beast emperor. Di Shirtian saw the changes on the ground, and his eyes narrowed. A thought instantly appeared in his mind. What a domineering power! Seeing the inadvertent changes, the eyes of Uluzi and the others also changed. The way they looked at Di also changed. The desolate ancient Qi is different from a Yuan Qi of heaven and earth. It seems to come from the door of desolation. Only savage beasts can sense it and absorb it. Other cultivators, unless they are peerless experts, won't be able to absorb the desolate ancient Qi. Ming shook his head. This kind of power was not ordinary Yuan Qi of heaven and earth. The source of its birth was not naturally formed by heaven and earth. It was invisible and formless. It was extraordinarily difficult to absorb it. Crack! At this moment, the void suddenly twisted strangely, and a huge vortex appeared. The vortex spat out a vast emperor's aura, as if there was an unimaginably terrifying existence on the other side of the vortex. A golden claw that looked like a dragon's reached out from the vortex. The claw carried an unparalleled pressure and boundless vigor. As soon as it appeared, a suffocating feeling appeared in the surrounding air. Even breathing became abnormally difficult. As long as one saw the claw, one would not be able to summon the slightest bit of resistance. It was as if the claw was the supreme ruler of heaven and earth. It was as if a casual wave of the claw could crush heaven and earth. Oh no! Di Shirtian's expression changed slightly when he saw the claw that had suddenly appeared descending from the sky and grabbing at Diyu. He was horrified. In the claw, he felt an overwhelming and terrifying power that could topple mountains and overturn seas. No matter who it is, I will not allow anyone to hurt Yu-Er in front of me. Di Shirtian did not even think. He let out a furious roar and took a step forward. In an instant, he appeared above Yu-Er and stood proudly. His right palm struck out heavily at the claw. Ultimate Emperor Creation Palm, one hand holding up the heavens. A huge purple gold hand instantly formed. It was as if it was real. The palm glowed with a purple gold glaze and contained an endless aura of power. Even if the sky collapsed, it would be pushed back up. Even if countless mountains came crashing down, this palm strike would be able to shatter them into pieces. Crack! However, the instant the sharp claws collided with the purple gold hand, a terrifying metallic sound was immediately heard. Immediately after, countless spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the purple gold hand at an unimaginable speed. It covered every inch of the area. In the blink of an eye, it completely shattered and dissipated. It did not even stop the claw for a second. What? Di Shirtian's pupils contracted violently. The battle intent in his heart surged like a tide and burst forth with a blazing light. Ultimate Emperor Indestructible Body. 6 divine rings of immortality rapidly emerged from his flesh and blood. Within his demonic body, a vast amount of energy crazily surged like a horned dragon. The enormous amount of royal true force instantly flowed through his demonic veins, filling every inch of his body. It flowed endlessly. A domineering and pure power filled his heart. Ultimate Emperor Creation Palm, splitting heaven and earth. Indra's palms began to dance in a strange trajectory. Behind him, an ancient statue of a divinity appeared. That statue of a divinity appeared in the primordial chaos, roaring and waving its fists, heavily smashing into the primordial chaos, causing the primordial chaos to shatter, transforming into a perfect world. Every punch contained the trajectory of splitting the heavens. Anything under the palm would be destroyed and turned into dust. Turned into dust. In the palm, there was a strong will to destroy everything. Even if there was chaos in front of me, I could still create a heaven and earth with my palm. Splitting the heavens was destruction. Destruction brought new life. Destruction was the enemy, and new life was oneself. This palm, destruction was the only true meaning. Rumble. D. Shurtian's entire body expanded violently. His right hand was covered by a layer of purple gold divine light, becoming transparent like glass. Like an unparalleled emperor, holding the sun and the moon, his palm heavily collided with the sharp claw. The destructive power immediately collided violently in the middle. Everything in the area was being destroyed, inch by inch. The power contained in the palm seemed to be on the verge of shattering the heavens. That tyrannical sharp claw was forcibly blocked. It was a deadlock in midair. However, in the blink of an eye, the claw began to shine with dazzling golden light. It was as if countless dragons were surging beneath the skin, and the power contained within the claw increased by dozens of times. Bam! The sharp claws heavily slammed downwards. With a terrifying rumbling sound, Sakura's entire body was slammed down from the air, smashing into the ground. In the air, countless drops of blood splattered. That sharp claw grabbed Diyu, and rapidly pulled her back into the vortex. In the blink of an eye, he was gone. Demon Emperor, Your Majesty. It all happened so quickly that it was only when everything was over that blood devourer and the others reacted. Faces flickering, they hurried toward the spot where D. Shurtian had fallen. Rumble. The ground trembled as D. Shurtian burst out of the ground, glowing with purple gold light. "Who is it?" he asked, a look of anger on his face. He stared at the rapidly disappearing vortex, as if he could see through it and see what was happening on the other side. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 926. The first update has been delivered. If you have tickets, please give me some motivation. Father. A terrified scream came from the whirlpool, but that voice disappeared in the blink of an eye. No matter who it is, if you dare to hurt you or I, D. Shurtian, will find you even if I have to exhaust all of Bai Luo and Huang Quan. I will tear you into pieces and let your soul fall into the abyss forever. The vortex disappeared inch by inch. D. Shurtian's face was ashen as he issued a powerful warning. Swoosh! The vortex in the air disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. The void returned to normal, as if the vortex had never appeared. Your Majesty, are you all right? Shueisha quickly appeared in front of D. Shurtian and looked at him anxiously. That claw just now, it's so strong. I felt the aura of death from it. Medusa's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Although the claw had only appeared for a moment, the surrounding space seemed to have been completely sealed. It was as if one was facing the vast sky and was as helpless as an ant. The heaven-reaching tower is indeed full of danger. Sakura looked deeply into the void and said with a solemn expression. The anger in his heart was retracted in the blink of an eye. Looking at his right hand, his entire palm was pierced through by the sharp claws. There was a horrifying wound that appeared hideous. Streams of purplish gold blood continuously dripped to the ground. However, at the edges of the wound, blood and flesh began to seep out and heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, the wound had completely healed and a sparkling divine light appeared on its surface. After cultivating the extreme Emperor Immortal body, the recovery ability of his demonic body had reached an unbelievable level. What a terrifying brute force. The owner of that claw seems to be one of the Emperor beasts in the heaven-reaching tower. Savage beasts were the ones who obtained the desolate ancient chi in the Tower of Babel. They were the true experts. That was too terrifying. If you really fought with it, I'm afraid you wouldn't be its match. The sovereign emperors of the savage beasts are the strongest among the peerless experts. Dark was secretly astonished. It had sensed the ancient aura of a savage beast from that claw. Only a savage beast could possess such an aura. Based on its words, it seemed to be extremely fearful of the imperial monarchs of the savage beasts. After all, savage beasts were a race that had occupied the entire violet gold continent during the ancient era. If not for the Tong Tian Tower, under the pressure of the savage beasts, the rise of the demon race and the glory of the 100 races would not have happened. It was very rare for an emperor-level expert to appear among the savage beasts. However, once it did appear, its combat strength would practically be heaven-defying. Its intellect would also not be inferior to any old fox. A monarch savage beast could easily fight against 3 or 4 peerless experts. Moreover, not only would they not be at a disadvantage, they could even defeat their opponents. That was a heaven-defying existence. Most of the sovereign savage beasts could go against the heavens and fight against unparalleled powerhouses, challenging someone of a higher rank. Fortunately, the savage beasts had already entered the Tong Tian Tower. Otherwise, it would be hard to say who had the final say in the current world. Monarch savage beast. Di Tian took a deep breath. The surging true power in his body gradually calmed down. It is said that monarch savage beasts usually reside in the 9th level of the Tong Tian Tower, Dark said. 9th level. A light flashed in Di Tian's eyes. He said, "If anything happens to you, don't blame me for turning the entire Tong Tian Tower upside down. That claw had only taken you away and did not hurt her. Otherwise, it would have instantly crushed you into pieces." On the surface, it did not seem to want to kill her. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. The moment she was taken away, Di Tian clearly felt an intense pain in his heart. Although Yu was not his biological daughter, she had been by his side since birth. She had his blood in her body and was no different from his biological daughter. She also occupied a rather important position in his heart. A series of unforeseen events happened in the span of a few breaths. Di Tian took a deep look at the void and retracted his gaze. In his heart, there was a hint of coldness. However, on the surface, he had already recovered. What had just happened was completely imprinted in his heart. In his mind, there was an even stronger desire to become stronger. Now that I've already condensed the monarch will and reached the virtual body realm, the combination of will and cultivation will allow me to smoothly advance to the advanced stage of the ancient heaven demon realm. If nothing goes wrong, absorbing the crystal of monarch will that I previously obtained will allow my will to advance further and possibly condense into a physical body. Turning virtual into reality, I will reach the peak of the ancient heaven demon realm. A thought flashed across his mind quickly. The encounter just now made him feel a strong sense of danger. Everything was illusory, and only power was eternal. Fortunately, once the monarch will was condensed, the hurdle that had been blocking him disappeared. As long as the early stage of the ancient heaven demon realm received abundant heaven and earth yuan qi and power of desire, he could quickly advance to the middle stage or even the advanced stage. Every time he leveled up, it was a huge transformation. There was a world of difference between each level. In the ancient heaven demon realm, the difference was even more obvious. When comparing the early stage to the intermediate stage, if one didn't have heaven-defying battle strength, there was no way to reverse the difference between the wills. When the will was born, every punch would be incomparably sharp and unstoppable. Let's go to the 4th level. Di Tian didn't dwell too much on what had just happened, but there was still a trace of invisible coldness in his words. "I know the location of the heavenly altar." Medusa leisurely walked forward and said with a trace of coldness, "Okay, let's go." Di Tian nodded and signaled to Medusa. Immediately, Medusa began to lead the way in front and rushed to the location of the heavenly altar. As for how many levels there were in the heavenly tower, even the sovereign didn't know. It was as if each level was an independent world, and each level was connected to the other by the heavenly altar. The heavenly altar was like a link that connected each level of the heavenly tower together. Through the altar, one could enter the world in each level of the heavenly tower. However, one could only enter the 9th level of the heavenly tower through the altar. The heavenly altar in the 9th level of the heavenly tower was white, but if one wanted to go up, the color of the altar would be completely different. Of course, although the supreme altar could allow countless cultivators to freely traverse through the 9 levels of the supreme tower, if a puny nascent soul cultivator were to enter the 9th level of the supreme tower, they would most likely be crushed into mincemeat by the monstrous gravitational force within the tower as soon as they entered. That wasn't bravery, it was courting death. Rumble. All the demonic beasts soared into the air as a gigantic blood cloud condensed in the air. The blood cloud exuded a cold, killing intent, and everywhere it passed by, the demonic beasts would all turn silent. When they sensed the aura of death, none of them dared to make sound. In the blink of an eye, they had disappeared from where they had just entered. After Tion and the others left for a while, in the quiet forest, inside a towering ancient tree, the space rippled like waves, and an inconspicuous cultivator strangely emerged from the air. This cultivator was wearing a golden immortal robe, and on the immortal robe, there was a subtle charm. The Heaven's Secret Sect and my 100 Revelations Pavilion have worked together to keep a close eye on the Demon Emperor's whereabouts, and even set up countless spies in the Heavenly Tower. I didn't expect to meet him and even find out such an important secret. This time, I will definitely receive a huge reward for reporting this information to the Pavilion Master. Who knows, it might even help me advance to another level. This mysterious man's face revealed a trace of excitement. Without thinking, the golden immortal robe on his body flashed, and his body strangely disappeared, becoming invisible without even a trace of aura. It was as if he didn't exist at all. Only in the void, there was a faint murmur, as expected of the Heaven's Secret Sect, to be able to rely on the legendary seamless divine robe to refine an immortal robe like the golden thread robe. With this immortal robe, even the Demon Emperor couldn't find any trace of me. In the future, it will be even easier to gather information. In the blink of an eye, the void became silent, as if that person had disappeared. At the same time, Tion and the others had already appeared in front of a huge altar. Around them was a huge plain, with green grass that connected the sky and the earth, emitting the aura of nature, the rhythm of life. On the boundless plain, there was an incomparably huge, transparent light screen, covering an area of tens of thousands of miles. Inside the light screen and outside the light screen were two completely different worlds. And inside, there was an octagonal altar that was tens of thousands of feet tall. On the altar, there were countless mysterious and ancient runes. The strange thing about those runes was that they didn't seem to belong to any language of the purple gold continent. At the top of the altar, there was a platform that could accommodate 100,000 people at the same time. There was a mysterious snow-white divine pillar that covered the platform, and any cultivator that entered could be teleported to any of the 9 layers. Within the area covered by the light screen, almost all killing was forbidden. This is the heavenly altar. Tion raised his eyes to look at the altar. On the altar, he felt an incomparably deep aura, as if it was more ancient than the entire world. Even the Supreme Will couldn't enter the altar, as there was a hidden power flowing on the surface. After seeing it, one couldn't help but feel awe. When you go up to the altar, there's a divine pillar that shrouds you in divine light. At that time, you can naturally see the other 9 layers. As long as you use your mind to lock onto any layer, you will be teleported in by the altar. Medusa seemed to be very familiar with this heavenly altar. She opened her mouth and introduced. Let's go to the 4th layer. Tion looked at Medusa meaningfully. Back then, in the heavenly tower, he had seen her being chased by the Great Void Palace. Even the Destiny's Child valued her very much, as if she had an extremely mysterious identity in the heavenly tower. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 9:27. Second update received. Continue working on the third chapter, but it will be a little late. You can read it tomorrow. However, Tion had never asked about it. No matter who it was, even if they were close to each other, there would always be some secrets that only belonged to them. No one had the right to force them to know about it. This was the freedom and right that every expert should have. Therefore, even if he knew that Medusa had some secrets that no one else knew about, he had never asked about it. He always believed that when the time came, Medusa would tell him about it herself. Everyone, be more alert. In the fourth level, there will be a gravitational force that is 10,000 times stronger. Tion glanced at the group of demons and warned them seriously. 10 times or 100 times the gravitational force might not affect them at all. However, once the gravitational force reached 1,000 times or 10,000 times, even they would be greatly affected. When Shui Wuya and the others heard this, they were all secretly shocked. No one dared to let their guard down in the heaven-reaching tower. Even the most powerful experts could die in the tower, let alone them. Swoosh! Without any hesitation, Indra took the lead and entered the sacrificial altar. His body entered the divine pillar, and instantly, 8 ancient doors appeared in front of him. These 8 doors were stacked up in order. Obviously, they represented the other 8 levels of the heaven-reaching pagoda. In each heavy door, the strength of the aura was different. The aura from the first door at the bottom was only 10 times stronger than the aura from the first level of the heaven-reaching tower. Further up, the oppressive might became even more powerful. The aura emitted from the door on the top floor could almost suffocate people on the spot. Even Tion felt a sense of fear, as if he was facing a scourge. His gaze landed on the third door. Suddenly, a strong suction force came from the door and wrapped around his body. He quickly entered the door. In the blink of an eye, the group of blood-killing guards disappeared. At this moment, in the third level of Tong Tian Tower, this was a vast world that stretched as far as the eye could see. Inside, mountain ranges rose and fell, rivers flowed, the sun and the moon alternated, and there were vast plains. Almost everything that could be seen outside could be seen here. However, there were even more wild beasts. There were those that flew in the sky, those that ran on the ground, and those that swam in the water. There were all kinds of savage beasts. From time to time, the roars of beasts filled with an ancient aura could be heard from the forest. They declared that this was the world of savage beasts. At this moment, in the third layer of heaven and earth, the tallest mountain peak was surrounded by clouds and countless precious flowers and plants. Numerous palaces stood tall, and the clouds changed with the wind, changing into all kinds of strange and unusual scenes, giving off an ethereal aura. The peak of the mountain had been flattened by something. On top of it, there was a huge palace. On top of the palace, there was a plaque with the words Great Void Palace written in ancient seal. In the main hall, there was a hidden aura. It seemed to contain some kind of mysterious existence. Around this Great Void Palace, there were other smaller palaces. At this moment, in the east, there was the most unique palace. That palace seemed ethereal and out of the world. Outside the palace, there was an illusory long river that kept flowing. It never stopped. Inside, there seemed to be traces of the lives of all living beings. It was as if the entire palace did not exist in the world and was just floating in the long river of fate. On top of the palace, there were a few ancient seals, Great Void Palace. This place was actually one of the 10 great celestial sects, one of the 4 great holy lands that always had a transcendent position in the purple gold mainland, the Great Void Palace. This mountain peak was the Great Void Peak. This was where the Great Void Palace's sect was located. And the Great Void Palace was the most outstanding prodigy of the Great Void Palace, the Child of Destiny, the King of Destiny, Tion. At this moment, in the Great Void Palace, it was not as quiet as usual. Instead, the palace was filled with people. As the master, Tion naturally sat on the main seat. On the 2 sides, there was Sky Sword Valley's Green Lotus Sword Immortal Li Qinglian, Myriad Demons Palace's Shape-Shifting Witch Ding Dang, Benevolent Boathouse's Meng Yao, and a young monk wearing tattered monk robes and a monk's hat. His hair was disheveled, and he gave off an unruly aura. There was not a trace of rules on his body. One of his feet was on the chair, and his body was lying sideways. He held a huge wine gourd in his hand, and he poured it into his mouth from time to time. His eyes were blurred, and he seemed to be asleep, but he was not awake. He also praised good wine from time to time. It could be said that he was the most unrefined. However, in the great hall, there was not a single person who looked down on him. Ding Dang blinked his eyes and sized him up with interest. A pair of pitch-black eyes rolled around. She giggled and said, "Bald monk, I heard that your Dabii temple has always been guarding the ancient battlefield of Celestial and Fiend to expiate the souls of the dead. The more souls the Great Compassion and Great Compassion mantra in your temple expiates, the more powerful it becomes. Do you know how to do it? I'm a demon. Why don't you purify me too?" There seemed to be some kind of provocation in her words. The monk seemed to use all his strength to lift his eyelids. He glanced at Ding Dang, shook his head, and said, "I don't have enough magic power. The Pure Land is full, and I can't hide you." These words caused a smile to appear on Li Qinglian's and the others' faces. "I heard that the Heavens Dharma is divided into two. Monk, you've obtained one of them, and it contains two kinds of peerless skills. Monk, which one did you obtain?" Ding Dang blinked her eyes and said in a pure voice, "The world is awake, and I'm drunk. The world is drunk, and I'm awake." The monk smiled and hugged the wine gourd, lay on the chair, and narrowed his eyes. Apart from them, the celestial maiden of the Tianji sect was also sitting among them. Her face was covered by a veil, but her eyes seemed to have the power to see through people's hearts, as if she could see through the mysteries of heaven and earth. There was a confident look on her face, and she exuded a unique temperament. She said softly, "Everyone, just a moment ago, by Shaosheng sent news that the Demon Emperor and his group have entered the heaven-reaching tower. According to reliable sources, the Demon Emperor's goal is the legendary Tian Peng Mystic Mirror. He has already obtained the secret map to the Mystic Mirror. At this moment, he has already entered the 4th level of the heaven-reaching tower." There seemed to be some kind of mysterious power in her voice. Every sentence was deeply imprinted in the minds of everyone in the hall. Ming Yao's face was filled with an inexplicable expression. She said, "The 4 great sacred grounds have lived in the heaven-reaching tower for countless years. In order to find the Tian Peng Mystic Mirror and obtain the demon summoning banner that was taken away by the great rock demon Venerable back then, we have spent a lot of effort. We only know that the Tian Peng Mystic Mirror does indeed exist in the tower, but we have no clue as to its exact location. I didn't expect that the true secret map would be on the purple gold continent." Her words were filled with sorrow. Only the core disciples like them knew that the reason why the 4 great sacred grounds existed here was to find the most important treasure of the demon race in the legends, the demon summoning banner. It was a pity that they didn't have the slightest clue. The Demon Emperor suddenly came to the heaven-reaching tower for a huge secret. He actually wants to find the demon summoning banner. Li Qinglian said meaningfully, "Fortunately, we didn't participate in the 1,000 Hero Peaks gathering this time to attack the Demon Suppression Valley. Otherwise, we would have missed the best opportunity to obtain the demon summoning banner." Indeed, ever since the legend of the Demon Suppression Valley appeared in the purple gold continent, even the most powerful cultivators couldn't help but secretly follow it. Naturally, these supreme geniuses were also eager to make a move. Many invitations had already been sent to their hands. However, just as they were about to head to the 1,000 Heroes Summit, the celestial maiden of the 4 great sacred grounds suddenly came. She secretly hinted that Di Shitian's visit to the heaven-reaching tower was not simple. There was a huge opportunity hidden inside. What kind of sect was the Heaven's Secret Sect? It was a terrifying sect that could calculate the heavens and the earth, gods and ghosts, and calculate the fate of the heavens. It could be said that even a sweeper in the Heaven's Secret Sect would be a powerful fortune teller in the secular world. In the heaven's secret sect, any words that spread out would often become a reality. Moreover, this was the most outstanding successor of the heaven's secret sect, the 4-stars heavenly girl who had a beautiful reputation. Her persuasion also made them stay and not go to the demon suppression valley. They also had their own plans. After all, no matter how precious the demon heart was, even if it was the Tao foundation of a sovereign, even if they could obtain it, they wouldn't be able to protect such a treasure with their own strength. In the blink of an eye, it would be snatched by the expert behind the scenes. This was simply a thankless task. Compared to the illusory demon heart, it was more practical to keep an eye on the demon emperor. In the dark, who knew how many spies were spread out, hiding in every corner, keeping an eye on D. Shurtian's group. Although they knew that the demon emperor couldn't have come here for no reason, they didn't expect that his purpose was to look for the legendary demon summoning banner. The 4-stars heavenly girl's eyes flashed with the light of wisdom. She muttered, "The demon emperor created the supreme divine weapon, the demon city, so that the demon race could have a place to recuperate, reproduce, and grow. He is almost an irreplaceable god in the eyes of countless demon race. Judging from the situation along the way, he cultivates the Tao of the emperor. His foundation lies in the demon race. If I'm not wrong, he should be in such a hurry to find the demon summoning banner to pave the way for him to establish the demon court and become an emperor." Vaguely, she seemed to be able to guess D. Shurtian's purpose. After a pause, she continued, "It is said that the demon summoning banner is the #1 treasure of the demon race. Its importance is even greater than that of the ancient suppression demon lamp. It contains the supreme fate of the demon race. There are also remnants of the true spirits of countless ancient demon race experts. Once it falls into the hands of the demon emperor, I'm afraid that these ancient experts may be resurrected. In this case, this demon summoning banner must not fall into the hands of the demon emperor." It was only then that Tai Xian, who was sitting upright, spoke. His words had already revealed his meaning without any concealment. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 928. Third watch, I can't take it anymore. I just want to sleep now. Brothers, third watch is over. Those who have tickets, please smash them. I have fulfilled my promise. Although Tai Xian had an extraordinary temperament and naturally had a kind of transcendent aura that came from his bones, he had an indescribable feeling towards D. Shurtian. Usually, he would be able to remain calm and maintain his transcendent and independent identity in his heart. Only then would he be able to be an outsider and be able to observe the situation clearly from an outsider. He could capture the trajectory of each person's destiny. He could see the other person's destiny. The people he befriended were all geniuses who had great luck in their destinies. This was because he had already seen their destinies in the long river of destiny and knew their prospects. Befriending strong people with great luck would be of great help to his own destiny. Therefore, all along, he seemed to have a mysterious aura that seemed unreal. He had obtained the legacy of destiny and had the power of destiny. As the son of destiny, his status was extremely high. He was an existence that was blessed by destiny and was destined to be a strong person in the future. He had great luck all his life. However, when facing D. Shurtian, he had been defeated repeatedly. In the heaven-reaching tower, he had fought fiercely for Medusa back then and was forced to retreat by D. Shurtian. Even destiny couldn't control his future. Later on, he had a secret battle in the auction on Ling Long, Celestial Island. After that, they had clashed repeatedly. However, in reality, he didn't have the upper hand at all. Instead, it ended with him retreating every time. These scenes unconsciously aroused a strong desire to win in Tai Xian's heart. As long as it was something related to D. Shurtian, he could no longer maintain that transcendent attitude in his heart. Monster Emperor, do you know that you have become a demon in my heart? If I don't defeat you, I, Tai Xian, will always live in your shadow. If I am always suppressed by you, my path of destiny will never be able to reach great accomplishment. This time, in the heaven-reaching tower, is my home ground. Let's see how you deal with it. Thoughts flashed through Tai Xian's mind. With regards to Indra, Qin Wentian felt that he couldn't see through him at all. This was especially so when he was in the River of Destiny. He discovered that although Indra's destiny was in the River of Destiny, it was always shrouded in fog. It was as though his destiny was constantly changing. Almost no one could grasp his future. Such an existence was a unique existence that wandered outside of fate. He was almost destined to become an unfathomable pinnacle expert. The Crown Prince of the Wan Shou Imperial Dynasty, Crown Prince Qing Shou, is currently leading the powerful cultivators of the Imperial Bee Supervisor to plunder the soul essences of the savage beasts in the fourth layer. If we leak this information to him, we might be able to delay the demonic Beast Emperors group for a while, giving us sufficient time to make our plans. The celestial maiden of the four-star sex eyes were filled with a wise and far-sighted radiance. She stretched out her slender fingers and gently rubbed her forehead. But her face was full of vigor as she said, "It's said that the Thousand Beasts sect, which was separated from the Thousand Beast Imperial Court, had once captured the Demon Emperor's mother, younger brother, and younger sister. As for the Demon Emperor, he had personally destroyed the Thousand Beast sect in the Purple Gold Continent back then. I believe that Crown Prince Qing Shou would definitely be very happy to hear this news." With just a thought, he immediately spat out a plan. Vaguely, there was a feeling that victory could be decided 1,000 miles away. Crown Prince Qing Shou, Meng Yao pondered for a moment, and her expression couldn't help but be slightly shocked. This was the crown prince of an imperial dynasty, and his status and nobility were not inferior to the core disciples of the 10 great immortal sects. Moreover, there was only one crown prince in the Wan Shou imperial dynasty, and he was the direct descendant of the Wan Shou great emperor. He was extremely doted on by the great emperor. He could be said to be second only to the great emperor and above all others. Moreover, this crown prince Qing Shou was said to be blessed by the heavens. When he was born, he had the appearance of a dragon and a tiger. What he cultivated, he was like a tiger that had grown wings, advancing 1,000 miles in a day. He even entered the unique cultivation cave of the Wan Shou imperial dynasty, the Wan Shou secret mirror, to cultivate. When he came out of seclusion, he had already reached the level of an ancient powerhouse. The most frightening thing was that this person had a dark nature, and his morals were extremely bad. It was said that when he was 16, he already had an affair with a concubine in the imperial harem, and he even secretly spied on his birth mother, Empress Shu Rong. He had a sinister nature, and he often liked to use sinister and vicious tricks against his enemies. He had never been open and above board. Although his status was noble, there were almost no people who liked to interact with him. This was especially so for women. Once he set his eyes on them, it was almost impossible to escape unscathed. The number of women he had harmed was almost uncountable. Moreover, the cultivation technique he cultivated was extremely terrifying. It was an alternative cultivation technique of the Emperor's Path, the evil dragon controlling Phoenix technique. This cultivation technique was an evil Emperor's Path cultivation technique that used dual cultivation to plunder the essence of the woman. Using an extremely tyrannical method, he would plunder the essence of the woman to strengthen himself and strengthen the power of the evil dragon. No matter how strong the female cultivator was, they couldn't withstand the plundering of this cultivation technique. After 2 or 3 plundering sessions, their essence would be completely drained, and they would turn into a pink skeleton. They would be refined into a pink skeleton flag. It was extremely evil. Oomph, that beast. Ding Dang's expression changed as she curled her lips in disgust and scolded. If not for the fact that he has the backing of the Wan Shou imperial dynasty, I would have chopped off his 3rd leg and fed it to the beasts. Her fierce words caused Li Qinglian and Tai Xian to subconsciously tighten their thighs, and a chill ran down their spines. Even the monk, who was lying down, stiffened slightly. All right. Immediately send a message to Prince Chengshou. I believe he will make a decision that he will be satisfied with. Tai Xian nodded slightly and made the decision. At the same time, a ray of light shot through the air and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! At the same time, in the fourth level, on a huge plain, Di Shirtian and the others were transported to an unfamiliar place in a ray of white light. What a terrifying gravity! In here, I feel as if there are thousands of mountains pressing down on me. Bai Zian, who had never been moved by anything, exclaimed in shock. If one were to fly in the air here, the consumption of energy in one's body would be thousands of times faster than usual. The power of all kinds of divine abilities would be greatly weakened. A solemn expression appeared on Wu Luzi's face, which was filled with killing intent. He could clearly feel the changes in the heaven and earth around him. The powerful gravitational force was crushing his body almost all the time. If his body was weak, he would have to constantly use his cultivation method to resist it with his Dharma power. Moreover, the attacks launched here would be weakened countless times. The fireball that could be launched at first would only be the size of a ping-pong ball now. On the contrary, conjoined bodies had a huge advantage in such an environment. The heaven and earth here have 10,000 times the gravity. Any living being here would have to bear this pressure. We are bearing it, and so are the other living beings. Di Shirtian took a deep breath and felt the huge gravity coming from outside him. It was crushing down like a mountain and overturning the sea, as if it was going to crush his whole body. However, the 10,000 times gravity did not affect his demonic body, which had reached the sixth level of the immortal body of the Emperor. After a slight pause, he returned to normal. Be careful, everyone. I'm afraid that our whereabouts have been exposed. Di Shirtian's senses were unusually sharp. He had a feeling that there would be great danger in the future. His whereabouts had been exposed. He was not surprised that they were discovered when he did not deliberately hide it. He sneered inwardly. I'd like to see how many people are spying on us. So what if they know my whereabouts? If one comes, I'll kill one. If two come, I'll kill two. It just so happens that my nether prison lacks divine souls. However, he would not directly lead those spies to the heavenly rock secret mirror. Before he arrived, he wanted to kill all those fellows who harbored malicious intentions. Did they really think that the bloodkill guards following them were pushovers? A strange expression appeared on Xie Sanyang's face. She chuckled and said, "In this world, there are always too many people who overestimate themselves." A strong, murderous aura flashed between her brows. She took out the secret map and looked at the markings on it. To the east. After checking, Di Shirtian took the lead and rushed forward. Then the demonic beasts followed. At the same time, in a mountain range in the southeast. Crack! A jet black blade light drew a perfect arc in the air, cutting a dragon pig with a strange horn on its head and a frightening dragon tail on its back into two halves. Blood gushed out and fell to the ground, dyeing the ground red. The weapon that killed the dragon pig was a strange evil blade that looked like both a saber and a sword. On the evil blade, there was a monstrous evil aura faintly. It made a strange sound that seemed to be able to attract people's attention. It was like a fierce beast that was ready to devour people at any time. The owner of the evil blade was a young man who looked to be in his 20s. He wore a gorgeous sapphire blue robe, but there was a trace of evil and coldness between his eyebrows. Whoosh! In the void, a jade slip suddenly broke through the air and was caught in his hand. Without hesitation, he crushed the jade slip, and a wave of information quickly rushed into his mind from the jade slip. Demon King Di Shirtian? He destroyed the 1,000 Beasts sect that I built. As he muttered, a cold, murderous intent appeared on his face. The 1,000 Beasts sect was built under his orders. It had brought him great profits over the years, but it was completely destroyed by the Demon King. At this moment, when he saw it, a terrifying, murderous intent appeared in his heart. You didn't take the path of the celestial realm, but you barged in when there was no door to hell. Good. I didn't go looking for you, but you delivered yourself to me. Don't blame me for not being polite." A cold light appeared in Crown Prince Chingsho's eyes, and he suddenly shouted, "The Imperial Beast Elders!" "Crown Prince!" Suddenly, two old men appeared beside him. These two old men looked the same. They were twins. They appeared in front of him with cold expressions. "Immediately prepare to launch the beast tide. I want that Tion to die without a complete corpse." To be continued. If you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 929. Those who have tickets, please give me the motivation to continue exploding. Yes, Crown Prince. Behind him, the two identical old men seemed to be telepathically connected. After hearing this, they agreed respectfully at the same time. At the same time, a sinister smile appeared on their faces. Looking at the aura emitted from their bodies, there were signs of condensing wills in their bodies. They were two ancient giants. Oomph. So what if you're a demonic beast emperor? If you hid in the demonic beast city, this crown prince wouldn't be able to do anything to you. However, since you ran out and appeared in the heaven-reaching tower, you're courting death. You slaughtered my 1,000-beast sect and caused this crown prince to be scolded by my royal father. Today, I'll settle this debt with you. Crown Prince Chung Shou laughed coldly. Bestial Emperor, even in your wildest dreams, you would never have thought that in this heaven-reaching pagoda, my Wanshou imperial dynasty is invincible. No matter how strong you are, so what? You can kill the strongest cultivators, but can you stop the waves of beasts? This crown prince wants to enjoy the scene of you being trampled by the tide of beasts. I'll record that scene into an image recording pearl. I believe that many cultivators will be willing to see it if I sell it. His face had returned to its original handsome and elegant appearance. That appearance of his really had the potential to seduce a large number of ignorant girls. Just by looking at his appearance, no one would think that his nature was despicable and hateful. He was sinister and sinister. In his mind, there were thousands of evil plans. In the 1,000 Beasts Imperial Dynasty, there was a mysterious treasure, Beast Soul Attraction. It wasn't a treasure, but a type of sandalwood. This type of sandalwood was refined from the blood leaves of a species called the desolate blood tree. It had a mysterious power and was fatally attractive to beasts. Once it was ignited, it would cover a large area in an extremely short period of time and enter the bodies of countless beasts, causing them to go berserk and crazy. They would have a strong desire to destroy. For a certain period of time, they would have a strong desire to destroy everything they saw, including living beings. They would form a tide of beasts that would sweep through the heavens and the earth and destroy everything. In the 4th level of the heaven-reaching tower, almost every beast had the strength of a celestial lord. The stronger ones could rival a celestial lord. There were beast kings that could rival ancient giants. Once they were triggered, they would form a stampede of beasts. When they gathered together, the power that they could unleash would be enough to destroy the world. Anyone who stood in its way would be torn to pieces. The Goblin Emperor will definitely come to the 4th level. The only passage in the Tong Tian Tower is the Tong Tian Altar. Although no savage beast can enter the Tong Tian Altar, once they come out, we will immediately ignite the Beast Spirit Guide and attract the nearby savage beasts to form a beast tide. This demonic emperor has an irreconcilable enmity with our Wanshou imperial dynasty. Today we must kill him in this heaven-reaching tower. The two imperial beast elders quickly appeared in a hidden mountain forest. 10,000 miles away was the plain where the sky-piercing altar was located. They looked at each other and nodded. An old man took out a jade box and carefully opened it. Inside the jade box, there was a strange purple incense with countless runes on it. On top of it, there was a fragrance that made one feel relaxed and happy. It was extremely comfortable. When the old man took the purple incense out of the jade box, it immediately grew bigger. In the blink of an eye, it became as thick as an arm and 2 meters long. Swoosh! The incense stick was inserted into the ground. The incense stick shone with a purple light, and it had a demonic hue. However, the two old men did not light the incense stick. Instead, they stood by the side, quietly, their eyes fixed on the sky-piercing altar. This secret map points to the east. Below the sky-piercing altar de Shirtion, tens of thousands of Bloodstrike guards and the group of beasts gathered together. They took out the secret map and placed it in midair. They enlarged the secret map to a size of a few hundred feet. Instantly, the picture in the secret map became lifelike. It actually marked the location of the sky-piercing altar. Along the way, there were many markings that appeared. These markings pointed to the east. It's better to go to the Tian Peng's secret mirror as soon as possible. In the sky-piercing tower, we can't hide our tracks. At this moment, there might still be forces plotting against us. Therefore, we must be extremely vigilant along the way. Di Shirtian looked at Xue Shi and the others and said solemnly, "This route, I think I can be of some help," Natsuya said. Medusa's gaze landed on the secret map. She looked at the vivid and lifelike scenes on it, and a bewildered expression appeared on her face. It was as if she had seen something inconceivable. "Oh!" When Di Shirtian heard this, his gaze instantly fell on Medusa's face. There was a look of inquiry in his eyes. Swoosh! Swoosh! Xue Shi, Xue Wuya, Hu Gord, Xie Sanyang, and the others all looked at Medusa. Medusa's origins had always been mysterious. According to Chun Shi's memories, Medusa was not born in the Southern Barbarian Demon Clan. Instead, she appeared in the Southern Barbarian Demon Clan without any warning. Not only did she have the bloodline of the Demon Clan, she also had an extremely ancient bloodline. However, her true origins were a mystery. Now, it seemed that she had some mysterious connection with the sky-piercing tower. Medusa saw the puzzled looks on her and looked coldly at Di Shirtian. She said, "My mother lives in seclusion in the sky-piercing tower. If I'm not wrong, the route marked on this secret map should lead to the place where my mother lives in seclusion." She seemed to be a little hesitant, but looking at Di Shirtian, she still slowly revealed the secret. "What?" Xue Wuya let out a short cry of surprise. His eyes fell on the secret map, and he looked strangely at Medusa. He said in surprise, "I once heard from my father that there is a guardian outside the Tian Peng's secret mirror. If you want to enter the secret mirror, you must first find that guardian. Could it be that your mother is that legendary guardian?" Medusa's mother actually lived in the location indicated on the secret map. At this point, they could not help but associate her with that mysterious guardian. "I don't know." Medusa lightly shook her head. She said, "When I was born, I was sent to the Southern Barbarian lands by my mother. However, as far as I can remember, my mother has never left the Sky Snake Valley. No matter whether it is or not, we will naturally know when we get there. All right, let's go." Di Shirtian saw the expression on Medusa's face and knew that she was not clear about this matter. He also shifted his gaze and ordered in a deep voice. Immediately, the blood-killing guards lined up neatly and took the lead. The group of people headed east. The blood-killer guards gave off a bloody and terrifying murderous aura that spread out in all directions, shocking the souls of the surrounding savage beasts. None of them dared to do anything strange. Second brother, the Demon Emperor has already walked out of the heaven-piercing altar. The eldest of the two Imperial Beast Elders said with a sinister smile, Today, we will let him taste the power of our Wan Shou Imperial Dynasty's top secret treasure, the Beast Soul Attraction." The second brother also laughed strangely, and his entire body emitted a terrifying cold aura. Ignite the Beast Soul Attraction. When the two Imperial Beast Elders saw that Di Shirtian and the rest had already come out, they did not hesitate. A flame flashed in front of them, but in the next moment, the purple sandalwood in front of them was already emitting sparks. Wisps of purple fragrance continuously drifted into the air. Woo! The two Imperial Beast Elders blew at the fragrance casually. Immediately, the fragrance was emitted at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was accompanied by a gentle breeze, and it quickly spread in all directions. The beast's soul attraction burned abnormally fast. In just a few breaths' time, it was completely burned out. What remained was countless wisps of fragrance that did not dissipate. In the blink of an eye, under the two Imperial Beast Elders' help, the fragrance quickly covered a radius of 10,000 miles. In this area, a bone spur wolf with bone spurs on its back, a slender body, and sharp claws that could almost tear the earth apart, was lying in its den with its eyes closed, pretending to be asleep. Suddenly, a wisp of invisible fragrance in the air entered its nose as if it had a life of its own. Howl! Immediately, the bone spur wolf stood up from the ground. Its body emitted a wild and barbaric aura, and its eyes turned blood red in an instant. Its eyes were filled with a ruthless and destructive look. It let out a terrifying howl, and its eyes swept across the surroundings in a frenzy. It looked to the east, as if there was something there that it desired. Howl! 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 Following the howl, countless savage beasts that breathed in the fragrance fell into a frenzy. Their eyes all turned blood red. They glared and scanned the surroundings, howling as if they were looking for something. They all looked to the east, as if driven by some kind of instinct. They began to run wildly toward the east. Demon Emperor, oh Demon Emperor, you can slowly enjoy the feast that this Crown Prince has specially prepared for you. Crown Prince Qingshou stood on a mountain peak and looked into the distance. He felt the violent aura around him. With a wave of his hand, a gorgeous divine jade bed appeared in midair. The bed was carved with dragons and phoenixes. It emitted a noble aura. Shadow Guard. Crown Prince Qingshou let out a soft cry. In front of him, ripples appeared in the air. A peerless beauty wearing tight black clothes silently appeared in front of him. Her tight clothes completely revealed her fiery figure. Her pair of proud jade peaks were plump and full. Her front and back were protruding, emitting endless temptation. Crash! When Crown Prince Qingshou saw this, his eyes emitted a blazing light, and he pressed himself onto the bed. A great battle broke out. Rumble! Countless savage beasts, under the power of the beast soul attraction, went berserk. Their minds were completely eroded by destructive force. They all ran toward the east. They gathered together and formed a huge beast tide in an instant. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chijian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 9:30. There were hundreds of millions of savage beasts in the area. There were all kinds of savage beasts, including two-headed scarlet tigers, venomous crocodiles, gale cheetahs, Vajra barbarian elephants, and so on. Savage beasts were incomparably barbaric and were famous for fighting and killing. Savage beasts grew stronger through constant slaughter. Their low intelligence made them lose all rationality when they killed. They were savage and bloody to the extreme. Now, under the power of the beast soul attraction, they were all going berserk. Savage beasts were already domineering to begin with. Now that they had gone berserk, they were like terrifying bombs that could explode at any moment. Their eyes were red as they madly dashed forward. Anything that stood in their way was smashed into pieces. Towering ancient trees were broken and turned into dust under the trampling of the beast tide. In the sky, countless savage birds soared into the sky. There were night owls, dragon eagles, winged dragons, blood-patterned savage birds, and so on. They gathered together and formed a terrifying black cloud. They covered the sky and covered the earth as they followed the beast tide and charged towards the east. The originally lush forest was trampled into ruins. The ground shook violently, letting out terrifying rumbling sounds. Like the sea, the ground rippled like waves, spreading out in all directions. The tremors caused the mountain rocks to shatter. A monstrous, violent, and vicious aura rolled out like a tidal wave into the distance. Even the heaven and earth of the sky-split tower was filled with that berserk aura. An incomparably oppressive atmosphere spread out. "Oh, Crown Prince, I'm going to die." On the divine jade bed, Crown Prince Chungsho pressed down on the peerless beauty and began to ravage her wildly. An alluring flush appeared on her jade-like body. Her eyes were hazy, and she was moaning. The air was filled with a rotting aura. "Huh, Demon Emperor, this Crown Prince wants to see how you're going to stop this savage beast stampede. Enjoy this feast to your heart's content." When Crown Prince Chungsho saw that the beast stampede had formed, his eyes grew even more excited. His waist moved even more wildly, and the sound of water rippled out. Rumble. Tion and the others quickly moved towards the east. Their cultivation base was very high, so they were naturally very fast. Even the 10,000-fold gravity couldn't completely suppress them. In the blink of an eye, they were already 10,000 miles away from the supreme altar. However, while they were on their way, they did not lose their vigilance. Due to the 10,000 times gravity, they didn't fly in the air. Although flying in the air didn't consume much energy for Tion, it was difficult for Shuewuya and the rest to support themselves. Therefore, they quickly skimmed on the ground. Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet shook violently. Wave after wave of terrifying tremors caused visible ripples to appear on the ground. This was the pulse of the earth. "Wait!" Feeling the ground shaking violently, Tion immediately signaled for them to stop and looked into the distance. With a single thought, he unleashed the innate ability of the all-seeing eye. There has never been an earthquake in the Supreme Tower. Moreover, I feel that there are no signs of tremors in the earth veins underground. This tremor seems to be caused by countless horses galloping at full speed. Medusa's eyes flashed with surprise as she said doubtfully, "Humph, I'm afraid someone is trying to trip us up from behind." Huluzi snorted coldly, his body overflowing with dense, killing intent. With a flash of light in his hand, a blood-red gourd appeared. On the surface of the gourd, countless killing intent intertwined to form mysterious patterns. It was as if the souls of countless enemies killed by the gourd were constantly wailing in agony. "I'm afraid there's trouble." Bai Zian, who had been silent all this time, suddenly raised her head and looked in the direction of the thunder-like tremors. A grave expression appeared on her calm face. "Not good, it's a beast stampede." Tion used the all-seeing eye to look into the distance. When he saw what was happening, his pupils couldn't help but violently contract. His expression became grave. The situation in the distance fell into his eyes without any concealment. The savage beasts, which were as vast and boundless as the ocean waves, gathered together crazily and dashed toward Lin Fan's location. Anything that blocked their path was torn into countless pieces. Beast Stampede. This was the most terrifying beast stampede in the Supreme Tower. Once a beast stampede was formed, its power was almost destructive. It could crush everything into powder. This was the most feared thing for any cultivator who entered the Supreme Tower. Encountering a beast stampede, there was almost no chance of survival. It was absolutely terrifying. There were savage birds in the sky and savage beasts on the ground. There was almost no place to hide. Tion saw with his own eyes a 1,000-foot-tall mountain collapse in an instant. Impossible, unless absolutely necessary. It's almost impossible for a beast stampede to appear in the Supreme Tower. Moreover, when a beast stampede is formed, there are usually huge signs. Only when a large number of savage beast kings, or even savage beast emperors work together, would they have the power to start a beast stampede. This beast stampede didn't have the slightest sign. This isn't a natural beast stampede, it's man-made. Medusa's face revealed a trace of horror. She had a great understanding of beast stampedes. Almost instantly, she determined that there must be some kind of trick in this beast stampede. However, she couldn't figure out what kind of power could cause such a terrifying beast stampede. This beast stampede had a crazy charm. Kill, kill, kill. Everything would be destroyed. Run, run quickly. Let's see if you run faster or if the beast stampede is faster. This crown prince loves to watch a cat catch a mouse. TSK, TSK. Crown Prince Qingshuo's face became abnormally ferocious as he pounced heavily. The beautiful body of the woman under him twitched crazily and let out a high-pitched, sorrowful cry. You want to borrow the power of the beast stampede to kill me? Oof. Gutless bandit. Di Shirtian's face emitted a cold, murderous intent. A disdainful expression appeared at the corner of his mouth. He said decisively, "Bloodkill guards, listen to my order. Follow me and kill." Boom! A monstrous battle intent surged from his body like a tide. The murderous intent condensed from countless killings turned into a ray of blood-red light that shot directly into the sky. It was so red that it seemed like blood would drip out. The fierce murderous intent seemed like it was going to pierce a hole in the sky. Kill! 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 The 3 Bloodkill generals each led 10,000 Bloodkill guards. They lined up neatly and followed behind Di Shirtian. Hearing the order, the eyes of all the Bloodkill guards burst with a shocking murderous intent. If anyone saw this, their eyeballs would be pierced by the murderous intent immediately. They spat out the word kill coldly from their mouths. Rumble. The rumbling sounds coming from the ground were getting clearer and denser. In the west, a huge dark cloud flew over from afar. Within that dark cloud, countless birds were gathered densely. On the ground, a huge amount of dust formed into smoke. It was like an incomparably huge wave that came crashing over. Countless ferocious savage beasts roared and madly charged towards Di Shirtian and the rest. A boundless aura swept toward them head-on. It made people feel like turning around and fleeing. Beast tide. This was a real beast tide. The area was so big that one could not see the end of it. The fierce aura rolled over and was almost unstoppable. Even the heavens can't control my fate. Even the heavens can't take away my life. What can the beast tide do to me? Sakra's eyes narrowed. Between his brows, a supreme aura of supremacy was emitted. The Emperor's will from his body soared into the sky and enveloped his entire body, bringing with it boundless dominance. Not only did he not retreat, but he also strode toward the beast tide. Rumble, rumble. Every step he took was sonorous and forceful. With every step he took, his body swelled violently at the same time, growing to a height of 1,000 feet. Countless terrifying spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the ground he stepped on. With every step he took, his aura increased, and the Emperor's will in his body became more profound and condensed. The battle intent in his body became more tenacious and strong. Every step he took toward the beast tide was a kind of tempering of his will. This was the courage to face death. As an emperor, he had to be fearless. Clang! Without any warning, his right hand gripped onto Tiger Soul's slender hilt. With a twist of his wrist, Tiger Soul was instantly unsheathed. The golden blade was inserted into the ground, and as he strode forward to welcome the beast tide, dragging the blade as he moved forward, creating a series of sparks on the ground. As Indra grew bigger, Tiger Soul also rapidly grew bigger. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Every step was steady. When he was about to collide with the beast tide, Di Shirtian's body had completely expanded and turned into a giant that was 3,000 feet tall. Tiger Soul moved along with the blade. With a twist of the blade, it suddenly drew a perfect arc in the air and slashed horizontally. Crack! Roar! 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 Countless rays of blood soared into the sky. The row of savage beasts that appeared in front of Di Shirtian was slashed in half by Tiger Soul. Their flesh and blood were devoured by Tiger Soul. The savage beasts that were slashed in half were trampled into meat paste by the savage beast behind. However, the terrifying impact of the savage beasts almost instantly crushed his body. Rumble. The ultimate Emperor indestructible body automatically activated. 6 indestructible divine rings quickly emerged from his body and covered his entire body. 2 of the divine rings bore the brunt of the attack and were completely crushed into millions of pieces by the terrifying force of the beast tide. It was as if a tsunami was about to swallow him whole. His body shook violently. The terrifying force was about to send Shirtion flying. However, when his feet landed on the ground, it was as if they had grown roots and could not be moved. Drops of blood seeped out of the pores on his body. Crack! The ground beneath his feet trembled violently, and a huge crack appeared in the ground along with the tremors. The beast tide did not move Shirtion's body, but created a crack in the ground. Blazing lava spewed out from the ground. Kill! 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 Almost instantly, the 3 Blood Massacre generals led the Blood Massacre guards and charged toward the beast tide with a murderous aura. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chijian.com and read more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 9:31. Sweat. The system crashed. I had to reinstall it, and it was delayed for a while. I apologize here. The 3 blood-killing generals held a saber, a spear, and a sword respectively. He strode forward and slashed at the beast tide with a blood saber that connected the sky and the earth. Suddenly, hundreds of thousands of savage beasts were cut in half by the blood saber. The saber chi swept around and created a bloody path in the beast tide. Countless blood rays flew from the bodies of the slain savage beasts to the blood-killing general and entered his body. For a moment, his whole body was covered with a thick blood light. The murderous aura on his body became stronger. A blood-red spear pierced forward heavily. Tens of thousands of savage beasts were stabbed into bloody gourds and skewered on the blood spear. With a shake of the spear, those savage beasts were crushed by the spear aura that was filled with killing intent. At the same time, a large amount of murderous aura returned to his body. The blood-red battle sword drew a perfect arc wherever it went. The strong bodies of the savage beasts were easily cut apart. They were instantly torn into pieces by the pure sword chi of slaughter. 3 shocking murderous auras soared into the sky and formed a huge blood cloud. It covered the sky and the earth. Kill! Behind him, the 30,000 blood-killing guards did not hesitate and charged fiercely at the beast tide. Streaks of saber light instantly set off monstrous waves of blood in the beast tide. Every blood-killing guard was equivalent to an expert at the peak of the ancient demon sage level. They lived to kill. Even in the face of a monstrous beast tide, they did not dodge and faced it head-on. Rumble. Countless savage beasts let out violent roars, bursting forth with tremendous attack power. One by one, savage beasts that were larger than elephants and covered with countless sharp spikes, looking very similar to hedgehogs, burst out bursts of strange light from their bodies. Sharp spikes shot out like arrows, blotting out the sky and covering the earth as they shot towards Sakura and the blood-kill guards. On each of the sharp spikes, ancient runes were intertwined. They seemed to be able to penetrate everything. Clang, clang, clang. Shirtion was the first to bear the brunt of the onslaught. Although the 4 remaining divine halos around him were able to shatter countless sharp thorns under the concentrated barrage of attacks, 2 of the 4 divine halos still crumbled apart, leaving behind only the halo of sorrow and the halo of joy. The bodies of the blood-killing guards, which were made of divine crystals, had sharp spikes piercing into their bodies. Those who faced the wave of beasts first had at least 100 spikes piercing into their bodies. They looked like porcupines, which was extremely terrifying. However, the blood-killing guards didn't care about their injuries. They continued to coldly wave the weapons in their hands and mercilessly cut down the savage beasts. Kill! 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 The blood-killing guards were born to kill. Their bodies were made of divine crystals. No matter how serious the damage was, it would not affect their combat strength. However, some of the blood-killing guards were still hit by the terrifying power of the beast tide. Countless terrifying cracks appeared on their bodies. They were densely packed and spread all over their bodies, making them look like broken porcelain. Howl! In midair, countless savage birds gathered together and formed a terrifying wave of birds. Many drug lords stretched out their sharp black claws and swooped down from the sky, flapping their wings heavily. Boom, boom, boom. Terrifying hurricanes rose from the ground. In the hurricanes, countless wind blades that were sharper than weapons were born. Along with the hurricanes, they swept madly toward Tion and his group. Everywhere the wind blades passed, they scraped off hundreds of meters of the ground. When the wind blades reached the blood killer guards, they encased many of them. Countless wind blades cut into their bodies like raindrops. The hurricanes were continuous. They actually crushed the bodies of the blood-killing guards, revealing the blood-red soldier spirits in their bodies. Quickly put those soldier spirits back into the nether prison. When we return to the demon city, as long as we rebuild their bodies, they can still be resurrected and become blood-killing guards again. When Ming saw this, he immediately roared loudly. They were soldier spirits. Every loss of one was a great loss. However, fortunately, the bodies of the soldier spirits were made of divine crystals. Even if they were destroyed, as long as they returned to the demon city, they could still rebuild them. With a thought, Tion swept across and quickly collected the soldier spirits of the blood-killing guards into the nether prison to prevent them from completely dying. Blood gourd, keep it for me. Su Luzi held a blood-red gourd in his hand. On the surface of the gourd, there were blood-red lines that intertwined with mysterious principles and emitted a strange, evil aura. When he saw that Tion had already charged toward the beast tide, he immediately soared into the air and gently patted it. Immediately, the blood gourd flew into the air and quickly became extremely large. The gourd emitted a blood-red light and formed a huge and deep blood-red vortex in the mouth of the gourd. The vortex spun and formed a monstrous devouring force that quickly swept in all directions. This devouring force carried a monstrous evil aura and was extremely overbearing. Countless blood-red lights sprayed out. Immediately, a large number of savage birds in midair could be seen being swept into the gourd domineeringly. Crack! He closed the gourd and shook it gently. Countless sounds of killing came from inside. Xie Sanyang opened her mouth and spat out a rainbow-colored orb. The orb appeared above her head and floated up and down. It emitted rays of rainbow-colored light that covered the entire sky and covered the savage beast horde. Each ray of rainbow-colored light had an extremely terrifying penetrating power. In an instant, it pierced into the savage beast's bodies. Roar! 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 The savage beasts fell to the ground one by one and were immediately trampled into meat paste by the savage beasts behind them. The dead savage beasts were black all over. They had been poisoned to death. Heaven and earth listened to my command. Savage beasts are ferocious and murderous. How dare you attack me? You shall be punished with lightning. Step by step, Sakura faced the tsunami-like savage beasts and brandished the tiger soul without dodging. Wherever the tiger soul went, savage beasts would be killed on the spot. However, almost as soon as the savage beasts in front were killed, 10 more would immediately rush up from behind. Wave after wave of beasts, they were almost completely drowning them in this tide of beasts. Seeing this, Tian's eyes flashed, and he exuded a supreme will. He opened his mouth and spoke like an emperor, giving orders to his subjects. Rumble. The moment he said those words, he saw thick bolts of lightning descending from the sky above the beast horde without any warning. They fell one after another like raindrops, shrouding a large number of savage beasts under the lightning. The lightning struck heavily on a large number of savage beasts. The power contained in the lightning was not inferior to an ancient heavenly demon's full-strength attack. Despite the savage beast's tough skin and thick flesh, some of the weaker savage beasts were directly turned into charcoal. The stronger savage beasts had their skin and flesh torn open. The entire heaven and earth had turned into a thunder prison. Tian had the thunder prison above his head. Outside his body, large bolts of lightning struck the savage beasts like raindrops. He was like a thunder emperor walking in the world. He exuded endless majesty. With a command, even the heavens and earth had to listen to it. The thunderbolts that rained down were in no way inferior to the terrifying horde of savage beasts. It actually suppressed the savage beast's monstrous power. So strong, Schwescher rushed into the savage beasts and swept up waves of blood with his long spear. Looking at Sakura, who controlled the lightning that filled the sky to engulf the savage beasts, his eyes couldn't help but emit a blazing light. Deep in his heart, there was a hint of awe. What kind of cultivation technique does the Demon Emperor practice? He can actually order the heavens and earth and command thousands of laws at will. Controlling lightning, golden mouth and jade words, verbal spell, silent meditation. The scene of controlling thousands of lightning was almost too terrifying. It was like a thunder emperor walking between the heavens and earth. Even though Gord Luzi had survived from ancient times, he still felt a deep sense of shock. He secretly guessed in his mind. In the past, he had seen Di Shurtian order the heavens and earth to fight against the heavens and earth. However, at that time, he only thought that it should be a shocking superpower that he could temporarily use with the help of the Demon City. He did not expect that at this moment, he could still order the heavens and earth. This was far from the mighty power that an ordinary superpower could have. He was secretly guessing what kind of world-shaking divine ability he had cultivated. Golden mouth and jade words. It seemed similar, but also a little different. Rumble. The savage beasts had completely gone crazy and went berserk. In their minds, there was only an endless desire to destroy. Even if the sky was filled with lightning, it was still unable to deter them. The beast tide was too huge. The savage beast's resistance to lightning was not weak. A group of thunderbirds suddenly soared into the sky. Countless lightning appeared on their bodies. They shuttled back and forth in the lightning and swallowed the lightning into their stomachs. The blue feathers flickered with dazzling lightning. The lethality of the lightning was greatly reduced in an instant. Roar. At this moment, suddenly, a dragon's roar that was filled with an ancient and desolate aura suddenly swept over from afar. In the dragon's roar, there was a violent and angry aura. A vast emperor's aura rolled over like a tidal wave. A vast expanse of golden light burst forth from behind the savage beasts. Everywhere it went, the already berserk savage beasts became even more frenzied. They charged at Di Shurtian's group without any regard for their own safety. TSK, TSK. What a demon emperor. You actually have a heaven-defying emperor superpower with a golden mouth and jade words. However, even if you can avoid the beast tide, you can forget about escaping the double-headed dragon emperor's pursuit. Prince Qingshou looked in the direction of the beast tide with a sinister smile. The black-clothed woman beneath him was lying limply on the bed. Her eyes were unfocused. When he saw Di Shurtian's monstrous power, his expression changed. However, when he heard the domineering dragon's roar, a sinister smile appeared at the corner of his lips. If you want to blame someone, blame your luck for going east. There are 9 savage beast emperors in the 4th layer, and the double-headed dragon emperor is within the range of my beast soul attraction. You're just an ancient heavenly demon. Let's see if you can survive. Although the beast soul attraction did not have much effect on savage beast emperors, it could still trigger their violent nature. Savage beasts would not be too resistant to this kind of violence. With the savage beast emperor's monstrous battle prowess, Prince Qingshou was already imagining the scene of the demon emperor being tortured to death in his mind. To be continued. If you want to know the rest, please go to www.chidian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.